The residents of a lonely gulch in inland California bear witness to an uncanny and chilling discovery. Welcome back, Suffer. The only other one.
I think you should have just shouted nope. Nope.
A new terror from the mind of Academy Award winner Jordan Peele. Welcome to Happy Suffer. Wasn't like one of the trailers for this just every time somebody said nope in the movie? Like one of like the, I think, initial sort of like teaser trailers or whatever.
I think one of them had like a supercut.
Yeah. Cause that's like I think that might be the only trailer I had watched for it. Cause I was like, well, it's like Jordan Peele. I'm gonna watch it at some point regardless.
I think it might have been one of the first ones, yeah, before you knew it was like about aliens and shit.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't... Well, we'll get into it. This is episode 299 of I Be Suffer. I am Kiki Palmer's Jesus Lizard shirt.
I'm Jean Jacket.
Oh, I wanted to be Jean Jacket.
Katie,
okay, you can be
I'll be
Jean Jacket.
Jacket the horse.
You be Jean Jacket, and I'll be Daniel Kaluuya's Scorpion King.
I was like, there's
hoodie.
No way someone's not that sick orange hoodie with whatever the fuck green things on the hood.
Yeah.
That, and then also there's another shirt that Kiki Palmer wears that's really, really good. And then the last suit, spoiler alert, that Steven Yeun wears, literally amazing.
Fantastic.
That crimson thing with like the decals. Oh, so good.
And it has a fucking Jean Jacket on the back. So good.
I like was surprised how little he was a part of this movie. Like, I guess based on like the one trailer and maybe just like random bullshit I saw people post on Instagram, like my assumption was that like this was just gonna be like this small group of people in like whatever area they're in dealing with like this alien thing, and it's really like not. It's both, you know. It's really just like the two, like the family members, and then the fucking
Michael Wincott.
Yeah,
an angel.
My god, dude's voice is the most insane thing I've ever heard.
It's so rad.
Like
him reading "Flying Purple People Eater."
Oh yeah,
is the best shit in the world.
I love that they apparently put that on the soundtrack.
Wow.
Because I was like looking at something, I was trying to figure out like who did the score and all that stuff. So I looked at the soundtrack and they like have him just singing that like right in the middle of it. Yeah, we're talking about 2022, right? Or was it 2020? Yeah.
Oh man, was it 2022?
2022, yeah.
Fuck, what the hell?
Well, that's, you know, I don't know. I can't remember what time frame this came out in, so I know like
summer. It was like July.
They'll you know, maybe like it premiered somewhere. Oh no, never mind. That would make sense. Never mind. Yeah, released July 2022.
Because I remember thinking like, this is a really good summer movie. Like, it's big like Spielberg vibes.
I know like a lot of people were like when it came out, were saying it's very like obviously
Amblin
like an
entertainment
homage
kind of
to
thing.
like Close Encounters and shit like that. Yeah, so Kit picked this, and apparently both of you had seen it. I had not. I guess before I get into my thoughts, like, Kit, why was this your pick? And then we'll like, you know, talk about like you and Katie's thoughts on like a rewatch.
Mostly just picked it because Jordan Peele rules. This was his like Spielbergian summer tentpole kind of movie, which I was a sucker for growing up. I love all things aliens, and this has some of the most horrific scenes I've ever seen. And yeah, between all that and Nathan just not having seen it,
Yeah.
like, all right, well, let's do Nope.
All right, Katie, what were your like initial thoughts on the rewatch?
So apparently the first time that I watched this was June of last year, so it's been almost a year, and that feels insane to me because I feel like I remember recently saying that I finally watched it, and like
Time means nothing.
seriously
Time's fake.
gross. The first time I watched it, I thought it was fine. And upon rewatching it, I actually liked it better the second time because I think the first time that I watched it was before I myself kind of had like my like alien. I hate to say alien era because
Alien
I
encounter.
fucking hate it. Yeah, it's before I had my alien encounter, my first one. And so I previously was like just not into alien stuff at all. Like I didn't care about it. I think that obviously like I started branching out more once we did the alien movies, and I talked at kind of like at length about how I realized that like a lot of it, like I love sci-fi that has horror in it, and I think that when I first watched this, it didn't have, which is insane to say because now rewatching it, it definitely does. But when I first watched it, I expected there to be like more horror elements, and for some reason the first time I watched it I felt like there wasn't enough, but then upon rewatching it I was like, what was I even talking about? Like it's so scary. So I liked it more this time. I think I still have some of the same critiques as I had the first time, but now that I know what happened, I could watch it and really just appreciate, like, I loved the score. Like, everything in the movie was, like, perfectly scored to be, like, so suspenseful. Obviously, the cinematography is great. There are so many, like, amazing shots, like, the stuff that they do with the rain towards the end, like, it just is, it's really good, I guess. And
I think it's one that definitely rewards rewatches.
yeah.
You pick up like all kinds of little things, like Stephen Yeun's jacket I was talking about earlier.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so like this being the first time I watched it, like I really liked it. Like, Jordan Peele is like, I think for me at least, like the really, like probably the most interesting voice in sort of like mainstream horror at the moment.
Sure.
Like I think him coming from like comedy makes for a really like interesting horror director, because they both have the same sort of ideas behind them as like genres, where there's a lot of like setup and then like punchline, or like like set up to like scare or whatever. And so like I really liked it, but I think it's like I forget which one you said it. It's something that I think Kit did, that like rewatches is where like a rewatch and like more was where like you really get the movie. And I think my rating, like I gave it like 3.5 stars, but I think it would definitely go up to 4, maybe 4.5 on like a rewatch, because like the first time you watch it, you're just trying to like put
Figure out
together what's going on,
sure.
and I think being able to just sit back and like, but just take it in now that you know what the plot is, would probably like make it way better. Because like,
it's a lot of things that is throwing at you, like a lot of threads between what Michael Wincott's trying to do, everything that's happening with Jean Jacket and Keke Palmer and Daniel Kaluuya, and then you've got the flashbacks with Gordy's home, and like just trying to wrap your head around it and get it all together on that first watch is like impossible.
Yeah, like my real takeaway was like, I wish this was like a 5-episode miniseries sort of thing, where like, because I really wanted like, or like if like I would have been
6-hour movie.
Yeah, I was gonna say I would have been totally into this being like a 3-hour movie or something, where just like some of it was like, some of the shit was just expanded on a little more, because it feels like it really feels like there's like an hour and a half of just setup, and then like all of a sudden you're in like the finale or whatever, where they set up all of the tube men and shit. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's really good. I think there's like Jordan Peele's use of like music, I think is like one of his real strong points. Like, I love the way he picks songs that feel out of place, but also like work completely perfectly with whatever is going on in the scene. Like
the sunglasses at night.
Oh
like,
yeah, the like
slowed down
chopped
needle
and
drop
screwed
is
fucking
so
version.
good.
That I liked the Exuma song that is playing. I think maybe right before the rain happens, or maybe it's I forget.
I think it's like right before the first time like the power goes out or whatever, because I think that's what Kiki's listening to when she's dancing, or maybe it was.
I can't remember. It's one of the points where like it might be when
where they are gonna face off with Jean Jacket.
Yeah, I think I can't remember.
Yeah,
but that's really I don't know. Like and like like the way he used Five on It and Us, and just like the joke, like quote unquote joke use of like fuck the police in Us is like perfect. Like I don't know. I really like the way like you could tell he writes very much scenes with specific songs in mind.
Yeah.
And like a lot of the time he uses shit that like is really like like left field, I guess. Like said, like the sunglasses at night is like a perfect example where it's like they're using the song, but for the most part it's this weird, fucked up, like slowed down version, but not like slowed down in the sense they do like the shitty like thing in trailers where it's like a pop song.
No, it's
with
not on purpose.
Yeah.
It's like something's wrong with it.
Yeah, it's so good.
It's like literally played at like it's a 45 RPM played at like 33.
Yeah. I think, especially where I've been watching like all of the David Lynch stuff for the last little bit, like I've really started to pick up on like sound design stuff in movies, because that's like a huge part of Lynch's work, and I especially in this, the sound design in this movie is like insane.
So good.
Like even just down to like the like torrential downpour in that scene where it's just like raining body parts and shit on the fucking
horrific.
house.
Absolutely horrific.
It's so good. Like
in a theater, it's overwhelming.
Yeah,
like,
I saw this was like a movie that like I think came to IMAX, which I feel like would have been like so insane to see. So yeah, I'm glad I finally sat down and watched it. I want to give it a rewatch sometime soon while it's still sort of like fresh in my memory, because it's pretty great. Katie, how about you want to just we dive into whatever notes you took?
Yeah, we kind of like I do have like 4 pages. I essentially just kind of wrote the general idea of what's happening for the most part, because it's over 2 hours, and there's a lot of like we were saying, like a lot of the movie has to do with like the shots, because like this movie, amongst other things, obviously is about, I feel like Jordan Peele is pretty good with this too, like conveying grief. Like there's a lot of different things going on in this movie about trauma and grief and et cetera, et cetera. So there's a lot of like just, I don't know. You should probably just watch it before we start talking about it. But
it's also a movie where I feel like a lot of the stuff in it is sort of like symbolic stuff, and like there's like a lot of foreshadowing of things in it or whatever that like you just kind of can't really like so like there's shit in it like I kind of talked about earlier where like a lot of stuff with like comedy and horror is like set up to punchline or whatever, and there's shit in this movie that's kind of like as I was watching it, like things start like unfolding, I was like, oh, interesting. Like they have this very quick dumb shot of like people using the most insane photo booth I've ever seen in my life, which was like, oh,
yeah,
what
even is that thing?
And then you get to the end and you're like, oh shit, that rocks.
Yeah.
Chekhov's photo booth.
And so there's like a bunch of stuff in that is like just sort of discussing as like plot by plot details is just kind of not worth going over a lot. But there's a lot of stuff in it that I feel like there's like this is one of the ones that I feel like is so left. A lot of stuff is left so like vague in it that like because I was reading a little bit about like on Wikipedia just like the making of the movie and stuff or whatever, but like there's like a whole section about like people's thoughts and like theories on it or whatever, and how like, you know, there's stuff where like Jean Jacket for like most of the movie, you know, when you finally see kind of what this creature looks like, it kind of looks like the bottom of a cowboy hat, but then it just turns into like a weird biblical angel fucking thing. Like,
Yeah.
like that I guess he had like
It's like a
he got like the inspiration from it from like Neon whatever
Genesis
the fuck.
Evangelion.
Yeah.
That I was like, I had no fucking idea about because I've never seen.
I love that shit so much. Not Neon Genesis, whatever. I don't give a shit about that. It's anime.
I
but
know it's so good. If you like Gundams, oh my god, if I feel like that is such a good anime for you and for people who like it's so.
I do love big robots.
There's sort of technically big robots. It is horror. It's extremely fucked up. It's like one of the things I feel like, because that's been around for a really, really long time, and I feel like it was like one of my earlier ones that I watched it and was like, the world is not okay. Like like that's, I feel like, a turning point
That's
for
what
me.
radicalized you.
Yeah, into being like, I just need to be consuming the most fucked up shit because, like, why not? That was like one of the early ones for me. So I feel like if any anime is for you, like, that one is so good. It kind of reminded me of a Parachute, to be honest with you. Jean Jacket.
Like, I guess like because when it came out, like the trailers, like, you know, everyone immediately started speculating that it was going to be like an alien invasion movie, and then it like it is, but it's not. It's not so much an invasion, and there's like all of this shit about just like working with like animals and like the way you need to like to you know, tame them or whatever to work.
Trying to tame a predator.
Yeah, and like all that, like there's a lot of like stuff in it that like isn't. Like, it's not one of those movies where it, like, force feeds you what, like, Jordan Peele wants to say. Like, a lot of shit in his left's very vague, like, you know, and, like, it just kind of ends. And there's no real... Like, there is a catharsis in the end, in as much as, like, Keke Palmer gets the picture and all of that shit. But it's like, you know...
He doesn't just lay it all out for
there's,
you easily.
You know, it's not like the alien is
Thank
killed
God.
and like humanity wins or like all, you know, whatever. There's no real sort of conclusion. It's just like, well, this alien is still probably there. Like Jordan Peele said flat out that like there's more of them. That like
Gotta be, right?
I guess there was a character that was originally in the movie that he cut out that he was like, I really want to explore that character in the future. So there's like this possibility of like sequels and stuff. And like he's flat out said, like, I have an idea because there would be more of these creatures out there. So like it's just like this one random creature. So there would be more like Jean Jackets out there and shit. And I was like, I don't know. I'm kind of interested to see what that would be because I feel like it would like not follow like any of these characters again. And then you get into like all of the shit with fucking Gordy's home, and there's just like so much like going on that's sort of like. I guess, like, on my first, like, as I was watching it, I was like, I don't understand what, like, any of this has to do with anything when you're, like, the entire Steven Yeun, like, storyline. And then you kind of, like, get to the end, and it's the whole thing about, like, you know, taming a wild animal and shit. I'm like, oh, okay, this, like, all, like, pieces together.
Yeah, starts tying together.
Because, like, it's, I think, I don't want, like, I'm not going to spoil Us, I won't get into it, because I know Katie said she hasn't watched it yet, but, like, you have the same similar thing with Us, where the opening part of the movie, you're kind of like, oh, this is interesting, and then it's, like, gone for most of the movie. You're kind of just like, oh, yeah, like, by the time it shows back up, you're like, oh, I forgot this was even in the movie at this point. And I think, like, the Gordy's home stuff kind of, like, was the same way, where you see that opening scene of just, like, the monkey next to, like, a limp body and somebody, like, watching it from under the table, and by the time you get the actual reveal of, like, what happened there, I had, like, forgot I had saw that at that point, and I was like, oh shit, like again another fucking setup and like punchline, quote unquote. I don't know. I think there's just like a lot of interesting shit going on in this that's like, I guess, plot centric, but outside of the plot, really. If that makes any sense. Anyway, Katie, get your notes. I think,
okay.
like, I guess real quick, I think it's funny how like our picks for these like 9 episodes were like half like weird, interesting, lot to talk about, like vague sort of horror movies, and then like very straight to the point dumbass plots like Frozen.
Yeah.
It's like a real interesting mix of like movies we had for these like quote unquote good movie episodes.
We contain multitudes here at I Hope
Yeah.
You Suffer.
Yeah, you know, we're real dumb, so we had to pick smart movies so everybody would think we were smart for a little bit.
Yeah.
Right before we dive into fucking Toilet Dick 3 or whatever.
It's finally time to do Shark Dick. Dick Shark.
Dick Shark.
Whatever.
I don't know if I can watch any more of that dude's movies. Especially because, at least on Letterboxd, that movie is listed at over 2 hours.
Pass.
Yeah. Katie, did you die?
No, I'm just waiting.
We'll
begin.
interrupt again. Don't worry about it.
Biding
I
my
know
time.
it's fine. I haven't started. So my critiques on the movie is like, I totally understand what you're saying about what the Jordy thing is supposed to be commenting on in the movie. I feel still that it is out of place and not necessary. And I'm sure it will shock you guys to know that I feel like the movie for me was too long. So I feel like if they just cut out the Jordy stuff, for me it would have been perfect.
Number
because
one,
I think
it's
Jordy. What did I say?
Jordy.
Jordy.
Whatever. Georgie from It is in this, by the way.
I don't know. As I was watching it, I was kind of like, and as much as like I told Katie I had to watch this like at work on breaks and shit, that like at that aspect I wish it was shorter because I'm like, god damn it, I gotta fit this movie in now. But like I don't know, like I really like the themes and shit going on in it, and I do like a lot of the Gordy's home stuff. I kind of like wish it was
Like,
just longer
that
because I want more of that stuff expanded on.
Well, like, I feel like that could have been its own separate thing. Like, that's why, like, I agree if this would have been, like, a TV show, having, like, an entire episode dedicated to just, like, what's his name? Jupe?
Yeah.
I don't care for that. But, like, having, like, the whole episode on his backstory to me would have made sense. But, like, in the context of the whole movie where you're dealing with mostly, like, this family who is, like, experiencing, like, generational trauma, etc., it just seems like so... Like, don't get me wrong. It's very, like, contained within itself. It is, like, extremely traumatizing and scary. But, like, the way... Maybe it's just the way that they spliced it in for me. And then, like, that whole scene where they're talking to him, like, in his office, I just was like, this feels very out of place for me. And it still did on a rewatch, but...
I will be really... Oh, go ahead, Kit.
I was gonna say, I think it ties in pretty well because it's, you know, child star who's gone through this horrible trauma, right? But he hasn't learned anything from it, right? So he's trying to tame an even more unknowable predator than a chimpanzee. Which,
Well,
you know,
and
like,
I think that he... Okay.
Well, so, like, I know, like, we've kind of talked about, like, this movie deals with, like, trauma or whatever, but I think a lot of it deals more with, like, exploitation.
yeah,
Well, sure.
And,
I mean,
like,
he's exploiting his own trauma.
Well, like,
for
he,
sure.
he was exploited. You know, the monkey that played Gordy was exploited. Like,
yeah,
there's the entire thing about, like... And I know, like, you know, like, I think he's announced this week that, like, he's working on, like, a Peacock original documentary about black cowboys that came from making this movie. And so there's the entire thing about, like, the Haywoods being the great whatever relatives of, like, that first filmed thing of the black guy riding the horse, and sort of the erasure of black cowboys in modern sort of like Western mythos. Like, Jupe is trying to exploit this creature for like financial gain after like, because that's essentially what he was raised up in. And then it's like really hammered home, I think, especially when you get to the TMZ motorcycle dude that like shows up. And so like I think you kind of need the Gordy's home, something in that sort of vein, that like really sort of is like what drives home the idea that a lot of this is trauma and exploitation, and like essentially the trauma of being exploited. I'll be really interested, Katie, when you watch Us, because I feel like this and Us have feel a lot more in common and from like the same filmmaker than I felt like Get Out and Us did. I don't know, does that make sense, Kit? Like,
yeah, I feel like for Us, he really kind of widened his scope, like both thematically and with everything happening in the movie, and he just kind of has scaled that up even more for Nope.
Yeah, because I feel like Get Out, as much like I fucking love Get Out, but it feels very much like first time filmmaker, and also like it feels very much sort of Blumhousey, but not in like a bad way. Like it feels more like a straight up regular sort of horror
Like
movie, but dealing with obviously
generic.
like the racial themes and all the shit going on in it, and like whatever. And then I remember seeing Us, and I felt like Us was like, as much as I feel like most people think Us is his worst movie, like like Us, well, because I think Us is kind of, I don't know, Us is still probably my favorite movie of his, because I really appreciate like the swing and like the themes in it, but I get why people were like, well, this kind of feels like disjointed and weird, and like maybe, I don't know. There's like a lot of critiques of Us that I understand, but I feel like that for me felt like his real like, okay, I got this first movie out of the way, now I want to tell this like real weird fucked up story. And I feel like the acting in Us especially is sort of like Lupita's like fucking killing it in Us. And so, but like, I don't know, Us and Nope to me feel very sort of like kinship movies, because they kind of like, Nope is like the bigger spectacle version of Us, I guess, is what I'm trying to get to. And I feel like I'd be really interested to hear like your thoughts when you get around to watching it after you talked about this a little bit.
Not to obviously, I haven't seen Get Out either, but that one doesn't have like supernatural elements, does it? Not
specifically. I guess it depends on like what your take would be on the scene where was the dude in this that plays OJ, is that who was in Get Out?
Yeah.
That's what that's what I thought. I was just thinking of him from like Black Panther, but like there's like a scene where he's like drugged and he goes into the
I've seen that scene, but okay.
Like I feel like outside of that, it's not like overtly supernatural, but there's definitely some like some sort of supernatural or like horror elements to it, I guess.
Sure.
And Us is like, I don't want to say Us is more grounded, because it's not, but like
that kind of is.
It is, but it's not. It's dealing with
undergrounded.
Us deals like,
Katie,
there's like a fucking...
laugh at that joke in like 6 weeks when you watch it.
Yeah.
Okay.
First, you gotta watch.
Go back to this episode.
Have you seen or is this actually connected? The show Them.
No, I don't know what that is.
Okay, they made it seem like it was connected to Us, but
well,
I don't know if they're just
good marketing from them.
Well, there's a lot of
scare.
There's a lot of stuff where like you can very much see what Peele's like inspirations were in each of his movies. And, like, he's not shy about, like, you know, like, I think one of the first shots you see in Us is, like, it's like somebody's watching a TV and, like, Hands Across America is happening on the TV, but, like, next to it, there's, like, a VHS of Chuds, which, like, you've like, when you're first watching it, you're like, oh, that's like a fun little, like, Easter egg, but then, like, you realize, like, you know, I'm not gonna spoil it again, like I said, but, like, you're like, oh, I see why he put Chuds in there. And, like, the same way you could watch this and you could, like, very clearly be like, well, he was obviously, like, very inspired by, like, Close Encounters and, like Kit said, like, the Amblin movies of, like, the 80s and, like, Nope. And so, like, yeah, I don't know. Like, you very clearly you clearly see, like, what he was inspired by as he was, like, making the movies. And I know he said, like he was writing Nope during the pandemic and stuff and wanted to make, like, a big, like, you know, blockbuster, quote unquote, like, spectacle movie.
Yeah, I guess that show's not related, but they definitely are marketing it that it is, so
as it was
disregard that.
like they were marketing it towards what movie? Or like Nope or Us?
Well, Us. Like,
weird.
The I don't think that anybody actually said it, but the way that I just saw it on my, like, next to watch or whatever, and the cover of it really kind of, like, emulated the Us, like, vibe of, like, the other people and, like, et cetera, et cetera. Anyways. Okay, so I think... Okay, I'm just gonna start, and then we can talk more about Gordita Crunch when we get to him. Well, I mean, the movie... So maybe this is my problem. I feel like, because, like, the Gordy stuff is... Like, I get what you guys are saying, and, like, I understand that it is pivotal to, like, the understanding of the Jupe character, but to me, he's not a main character, and so I guess that maybe I'm thrown off because the movie literally starts with a flashback that relates directly to him, and
Sure.
so, like, that... So maybe it would have worked better for me if they would have just... When they're having that conversation and Keke Palmer's like, oh my god, you were that kid, and then he has the flashback, then they show us the flashback. I think it would have worked better. But I think the flashback happens in, like, multiple places, so I'm like...
Yeah, it's spread out.
Yeah, it doesn't work for me that way.
I get what you're saying, but I kind of like... But again, like, I don't know, like I said, like, after, like, Us kind of has a similar thing in it that, like...
Sure, and you know what? I think
it works better in Us, but I really like the execution of it in this.
I think for me, I have an issue with, like... I don't necessarily mind when stuff is out of order, but, like, it just, for me personally, doesn't make sense in my head, which is, like, it's not,
yeah,
like, it's what keeps this movie from being a 5-star, to me, honestly. So, the movie basically opens with, I mean, they don't tell us everything that's happening right now. It basically just opens, like, pretty traumatically, and especially if you don't like chimpanzees, which I happen to not.
That shit's real. That shit's so real. Them
it's
fucking
so scary.
Attacking their owners and shit.
Yeah, I don't
Quote
like
unquote
it.
owners, because, like,
well, yeah,
why are you trying to do that?
Leave them alone.
Caitlin and I talk about that all the time because, like, there's so many fucking people on Instagram that have these, like, massive accounts because they have, like, a fucking
Fox.
links
There's
or
so
some
many
shit
Fox
that, like,
too.
live in their house, and I'm like
Crazy.
there's a lot of Fox ones. There's, like, at least one Fox one that I follow that's, like, an actual, like, sanctuary
love them,
or whatever.
But they're, yeah.
But, like, there's
how
people that'll
often-
have, like, a fucking, like, puma that lives in their house, and I'm like, you are gonna get eaten on fucking Instagram Live one day.
Like, how often I will be holding Maytel, who I've had since before she was 1, and she's my best friend, and she's never done anything to me, but I'll be, like, holding her, and I'll be looking at her face to face, and I'm like, what if she just bit my face right now? She could! She is an animal, you know what I mean? It's just wild to me.
I ain't gonna worry about that with Hooch.
Oh,
He's
no.
weak. He's small.
Yeah.
He doesn't have a jaw.
Yeah, especially, like, the ones that just you can tell they've got nothing going on between the eyes, like, it's fine. But, like, they are predators, you know? Like, I don't know. It's just very scary. And monkeys to me are even scarier because of, you know, opposable thumbs and whatnot.
They're very strong and very smart.
Yes, and their teeth, like, ugh. Okay, so the movie basically just starts with who we come to know as, I'm probably gonna call him Gordy.
Gordo, Jordy.
It's like an
Jordo.
abandoned Jordo. It's an abandoned TV set, and there's a bloody monkey, like a very bloody monkey. And this is like the only little thing that happens because it cuts immediately to a big old ranch house at dawn, and we meet our main like one of our main characters, OJ, who is doing horse chores.
Chores.
Yeah, chores.
Chores.
There's this like this movie also is just like so rude because it's immediately so traumatizing, not only with like the scary bloody monkey, but also like OJ is working on the horse ranch with his father, and they're just like having this conversation about like kind of alluding to the fact that they are not doing very well. And the dad is like optimistic. He's like, we just need to do this one job and then like we'll be good, like everything will be fine. And OJ's like, cool, see ya. And he goes like walking away from his dad, and all of a sudden again, this is like where the sound design really comes in, because you start hearing stuff falling everywhere. And like the way that the dimension of it is just like crazy, because it's like almost as if it's raining, but it's very obviously not water, right? So we don't see anything really at first, but you hear like pellets of stuff. And also there's like a very little thing of OJ's flip phone being weird, which at that moment you're like, it's a flip phone, so like, you know,
those things work better than the ones we have now.
I mean, that's fair. And then one of the things that I like about this movie is how like unique the quote unquote UFO situation is, because this is so scary to me. He just hears women screaming coming from the sky, and he like looks up and you don't see anything. It's just like clouds. It's a blue sky, but you could just hear screaming, which absolutely,
so
like, to quote the movie, nope, like absolutely not. Terrifying. And this is like obviously like a thing throughout the movie. And in this very beginning, like, if you don't know anything about the movie, you absolutely like don't really suspect that anything weird's going on, because you hear in the background like a news report about, or somebody says it or something that basically says that this was like a plane that crashed or something. So the characters in the movie are like, something weird happened, but they're very unaware that it's something insane.
It's like it's a thing that like kind of does happen in the real world, that like I think it's a smart use of like, you know, a thing that can and does sort of happen sometimes, that like is, you know, there's like a real world explanation for it, but in the movie is like an alien thing where like just, you know, like just think about like how much stuff could probably just break off and fall from a fucking airplane just like randomly.
Well, definitely.
And, like,
and the thing that's like so sad and scary about this scene is that like, yeah, so OJ's walking away, he hears the stuff falling, he hears the horse get hit, and he turns around and he's like obviously concerned. There's shit falling from the sky, and his dad has his like back to him, and the horse starts like running, and his dad just like falls off because he's been hit. And the reveal is essentially it was like a fucking nickel fell out of the sky and killed him. And it's
biggest flaw in this movie is like the use of Keith David. Should have been in every scene.
Fair. It is like, and I'm telling you, like, this happens immediately after you see this bloody monkey, so you're already traumatized. It's been 6 minutes or whatever. It's so sad. Yeah, so like obviously his dad doesn't make it, unfortunately. We see the X-ray where you just see like the nickel like in like it pierced his skull, which is sad. And then
horrific.
The
shot of his face with his eye, like,
yeah,
terrible.
Fucked up.
And then like they return the nickel to OJ as like personal effects, which is just sad. And then when he gets back to the house, he sees that the horse has a key in his butt, like a key fell and hit it. And then like later on, once you realize what's happening, the scene is like so chilling, even more so, because right now we don't know what's going on, right? Okay. So now we are at a movie set. OJ is there with his horse. Somebody says, "Your name is OJ," which I found very funny.
The old white lady, like, immediately nervous.
And he's like, "Yeah, Otis Jr." Yeah,
he's
normal.
So fucking good in this movie. Like,
Yeah,
incredible.
he is.
His sort of like very like toned down and like detached a little bit like demeanor throughout the entire thing, while like all of this crazy shit is happening, like works so well.
Yeah.
Especially
So
like to counteract like his sister, who's like the most
A ray of
energetic
sunshine
and like
and, like,
loudest
yeah.
person ever.
Yeah. And I mean, it's like, it's real, right? Like,
Yeah.
he's like the stoic older brother, and she's like the
Well,
rambunctious sister.
it's also
and-
like he's the one that like stuck around to like keep the
Yep.
family business going while she went off to do like, you know, whatever. You don't
Her
really
dream
find out what it
thing.
is, but
Yeah. She does everything. She does catering. She makes a mean grilled cheese. She can
Yeah.
sing. Like, she can do
Sewing?
anything.
oh my god,
Yeah.
she's so
Like,
fucking
yeah,
good in that
sewing.
like scene when she's like explaining
Yeah.
everything.
I love her so much. Like,
I
I feel like any chance I have to say that I love Keke Palmer, like, I love her so much. She could do no wrong.
I
in my
honestly
eyes.
don't know if I've really seen anything she had done outside of this, other than maybe like being a voice in something. But like, yeah, she's fucking killing it in this movie.
She's great because I feel like she does so much. Like, this is like kind of a weird thing to say, but you'll know what I mean. She just like does so much like with her face also. So it's like not only her voice, you know, like there's a lot of actors that we compliment like the way like the things that they do with their voice to like elicit emotion or whatever. She has like the whole thing. She's got her voice, like obviously she is also a voice actor, so she's got like that down. And like there's scenes too where like she's like something's happening to her and she's screaming, but her like voice is cutting out because like it's just that's like what her voice, and she's just like so great. I love her.
I guess like Jordan Peele talked about like the scene where she gives that spiel or whatever to the movie crew, like was shot, took like something like 14 or 15 takes, and every single one she did it differently.
Oh, I'm sure.
And I was
yeah.
like, yeah, that rocks. I want to see all of them.
Yeah. Well, and especially that like part at the end, yeah, when she's like talking about like, do you guys eat anything, like catering, whatever. And I can't even imagine like standing there watching her do that, and then like the part where she goes, "I can sing," and she like sings it, like makes me laugh out loud.
It's also like, you know, like that character, especially in that scene, is based on somebody for real that Jordan Peele's like come across. Like,
yeah.
You know how many of those
yeah.
people are probably like some fucking weird animal wrangler that comes in. It's like, well, you know, I could also act and I could do this. And blah, blah, blah.
I'm sure. Yeah. So OJ is there with one of the horses because they're trying to film, I don't know, a commercial or something. And this whole scene to me is like very frustrating because, as we've said, OJ is like very, also like obviously socially awkward. Like he's not the quote unquote face of the business. He's kind of like the guy who just like takes care of everything behind the scenes. Yeah,
he's
exactly.
reluctantly having to take over this job for his dad. Who died.
Yeah, he didn't want this.
Also, side note,
obviously
the Hayward's Hollywood Horses decal is fucking incredible.
Yeah.
Whoever did like the sort of like some of the design stuff for this movie, of just like even like costume, wardrobe, like logo design, fucking killing it. Like the
Scorpion King hoodies.
Well, like the Hayward Horses design is like a film strip where each of the lines to separate each shot of the film makes the H for like Haywood's Hollywood Horses. I was like, that fucking rocks. Whoever created that did a fucking incredible job. That Scorpion King hoodie I need in my life.
I just found it.
Oh,
well, so like, I mean, I assume that has to be real, or is this like
the movie? The Scorpion
no, like
King?
that specific hoodie, because like they make. I mean, I haven't seen
I'm not
it.
convinced. I'm not convinced it's real.
I don't think I ever saw Scorpion King, so I don't know if it's maybe just like a Mandela effect.
It's a fever dream.
But like,
no, the Scorpion King was definitely.
I meant
movie,
like,
but...
I want to know if that was like a real, legit crew Scorpion King crew hoodie, you know? Because like growing up, like my dad's best friend did like stagehand work for like all of the big concerts that came to the Dayton area, and so like I used to have like a shit ton of like free like crew shirts that they would give everybody working that day. So like they would have like, you know, like AC/DC with like the fucking Angus cartoon or whatever on it. It would say like, you know, official crew member whatever on the back, and I know like movies and shit do that too. And so like my assumption is that was like a legit, you know, you know, if it's not like an original, but like, you know, a remade version of like the Scorpion King.
I mean, hoodie. The actual movie, The Scorpion King with The Rock, the font is literally the same.
I want
gotta be real.
So I don't know. Like the logo on his hoodie has like a sword under it, but it looks the same text to me. Oh, and he's holding the sword. I think that they are referencing that movie. I think that they really are, which is so funny to me.
There's an interview with him about it.
Yeah, that's what I was reading right now.
Said it came about naturally, and they're trying to like figure out the timeline of what he would have worked on with his dad.
Yeah.
And he's like, and then I mean, Scorpion King. Come on.
Yeah, because that came out in like 2002, so that would have been perfect. Yeah.
I feel like that movie did not have any real animals that weren't CGI.
There was like a horse. Dwayne rode one real horse, at least.
Well, but then he says like they didn't even use the footage with the horses; they replaced them with camels.
Oh yeah, I forgot he says that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so yeah. So he's in this situation where, like, obviously his dad was kind of, like, beloved in the scene because, like, when OJ's there, they're like, what happened to the other guy? And they're like, oh, like, he passed away. And the guy's like, oh, God damn it. Okay, fine. So, like, this whole scene is frustrating because, like, the people on the set obviously do not respect him, and they're also not listening to him. Like, he is literally the animal trainer. He's there for their safety and the horse's safety, and he's like, can you guys step back? Can you not do this? And they literally like are not listening. He's like, the horse needs a break or whatever, and they're just like, tell the horse we're ready to do one. And it's just like so frustrating.
Well, I think that also plays in like I don't think they really like go into it as much, but it's like the same way like there's laws about how child actors, how long they could be on set without breaks and all that kind of shit, and like it's like I guarantee you they do the same shit with child actors that they would like show them do with like the horse in this movie.
Yeah, for sure. And like so the whole situation is just like not going very well. He's awkward, they're not listening to him, he's like trying to do the spiel or whatever. Finally his sister Emerald comes in. They call her M, and it is Keke Palmer, and she of course comes in like a whirlwind queen she is. She's like late, of course. She's like charming, she's enthusiastic, she's like, for lack of a better term, like bouncing off the walls.
She got her shtick down.
She does. And so she basically, their little like shtick is talking about how they're the only company that's like that are black horse trainers, and then they tell the story that Nathan told earlier, essentially where like the very, very first movie that was ever shot was comprised of pictures of a black man riding a horse, and that was their great 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 grandfather or something like that, who obviously didn't get credit for it. That's like pretty great, right? That's like a pretty historic thing, and of course nobody cares about it in Hollywood or whatever, and so but they are really proud of it, which they should be, right? And so she's like essentially gives them the background of it, and then is just like, yeah, our family is like continuing this legacy. And then that's when she also is like promoting her like side, well, it's not her side gig, she says that, but like whatever other else she could do. Like she very obviously has like dreams of being quote unquote like something more than just like the family business. So, um, yeah, so it doesn't go well, because, yeah, OJ's like, hey, we need to take a break with the horse, but the people are like, no, absolutely, like, let's do it now. They, like, flash a bulb in the horse's face or
like,
something, and it gets
they
mad.
put this,
and
like, bulb that's got a mirror on it, and the horse sees, like, eyes or whatever, because you're, like, not supposed to look them directly in the eye, and it, like, freaks out. It, like, kicks back and kicks, you know, like a fucking powder puff or some shit out of someone's hand doing makeup.
And, like, everybody's fine, but obviously they're freaked out, and they overreact and are like, we can't have this horse here, whatever the fuck. So, this is when we are introduced to it's basically just like a Old West, like, tourist trap called Jupiter's Claim, where we find out OJ has been selling his dad's horses to.
Yeah, with, like, a plan to buy them back in the near future or some shit.
Which, like,
spoiler alert, doesn't work.
No. I was gonna say, which obviously
Bad
is
plan.
Not like Steven Yeun's character again, whose name is Jupe. I don't like it. Like is acting like oh yeah, no problem. Like, yeah, sure, don't worry, but like very obviously has no intention of selling the horses
Well, but
back.
also like my takeaway is that he's feeding the horses to this fucking.
Yes, exactly. That's why I said he has no intention of selling the horses back. And is also trying to, but we don't find this out until like the very end of the movie, right? Because he's also trying to purchase the farm from them, and he's coming off as like, I'm an entrepreneur and I'm trying to help you out. Like, but obviously, like, his intentions are, yeah, spoilers, that he wants to feed all the horses to the alien.
I think it's a really interesting sort of like modern take on the like trope that I feel like a lot of westerns would do of like a small family ranch trying to be, you know, where like someone kind of comes to
a rich
town
person
and is trying to like
buy
take their
yeah.
land, and like when they won't sell, they're gonna like take it by any means necessary or whatever. And I kind of like the sort of modern like take on it that Jordan Peele has in this.
Yeah. So this is where we find out more about Jupe, which is that he was a childhood star, and like this whole situation again for OJ is like very annoying because this is when he's like trying to talk to Jupe about the possibility of buying the horses back, and M is in there like basically like talking about like all the memorabilia. She's like, oh my god, you were that, what was it, like a kid sheriff was like his first job or something like that. She's like, oh my goodness, and OJ's like, okay, can you shut up, like I'm trying to like talk to him or whatever. But like Jupe loves it, right? Like he loves to be like
the fame, the attention.
Yeah,
he's
like
really embracing having been a childhood star, and like again, like we said, exploiting what happened to him. Because like first he's just talking about like, oh yeah, I was, you know, sure, like here. Then there's this like, was it a Mad TV cover?
It was a
magazine
Mad
cover.
Magazine.
And like,
which is so good, by the way.
Very good. Oh my god, I can't wait to talk about this. I think it's pretty obvious why. But like, the cover is separate from everything else, and she doesn't even acknowledge it. She's just talking about like the kid sheriff stuff. And Jupe offers to them, oh, have you guys seen this? Have I told you about this? And it's like any opportunity to talk about this like traumatic thing that happened to him. Gross, you know?
It's like, I think it's more like if you've ever, like I think it's like a trope they do in a lot of like TV shows and stuff, but it's like real, that like if you ever have known anyone who had any sort of brush with fame in their life that like is now, you know, like a quote-unquote regular person where, like, their fame is just not a thing anymore, that, like, if you bring it up, they will fucking talk you to death about, like, you know, the one time they, like, headlined a tour or some shit.
It's like the sad high school guy who had the one play in the big game.
Yeah, the guy who was, like, the high school fucking quarterback that, like, you know, through that fucking season-winning touchdown that, like, never left the small town or whatever after high school sort of deal. that like he's just like, and it's also like I feel like in the movie it's painted as like also like a trauma response that like he can like just like falls back into like child actor bullshit. Because like there's the scene later when it's like his wife essentially like talking him up to go do this fucking like show before he gets eaten. Like he's like clearly doesn't want to do this, but like has to like turn on his like actor charm and fall back into that, and like it's clear that he like is not happy with where his life is anymore. I don't know. It's like
should have let Gordy kill him.
Him and Gordy should have like ran off and had like a Dunstan checks in adventure.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. I know like
Gordon doing like most vertical primate.
It's like I understand like Katie's sort of gripes with the way it's like edited into the movie, but like I don't know. I really kind of liked all of the Jupe Gordy stuff in this because I think it's like it's done not heavy-handed, but enough that you kind of can like pick up like what his deal is, and like I don't know. I think it's done pretty well. At least for me.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, show me everything about that
I know.
right here,
I get,
and
I
not
get
like
what you're
3
saying,
separate times.
But like,
yeah.
What it is Katie wants to see the SNL sketch where
that's what I want.
Oh my god,
that's what I want.
Like
that's what I want.
I
also.
forgot about
that.
That's
what I said. I can't wait to talk about it.
I need it.
Jordan Peele fucking gets it. He
does. The king. So like this. So like he like I said, he brings up the Gordy's home thing, whatever. He shows them a hidden room that has like all of this memorabilia from the show and like a bloody shoe, which is like fucking gross.
It's
but
fucked up.
While he's telling this story, like instead of actually really, I think at this point saying actually what happened, he's like, oh, he's talking about like all of the publicity he got after that, like. Matt TV did the sketch. He's like, oh, and then they did this SNL sketch. Like, have you guys seen this? And he's like name dropping these people who are playing this, that, and the other thing. And then he says Chris Kattan plays Gordy, the monkey, which already is. I wish it was like, is it real that they need to like make it?
Yeah,
because
like, so he played.
Right.
He did a monkey character on there because there's a sketch where it's like him and The Rock as like. These monkeys, so like that's a real thing. Yeah, well, I need them to remake this specific. I fucking love his delivery in this scene and the way it's like shot,
just crushing it.
It's like he's telling this story as if he's telling this like dark, like childhood story from his past. It's like supposed to be this sort of like sad and like mind-opening thing, but it's a story about a fucking sketch about Chris Kattan on SNL
being a chimpanzee. Yeah, insane. And
he was just locked in. He was killing it.
And I believe it because he's a king and he would and he will. But like it actually is so like funny to hear because like I obviously totally forgot that this was even a thing in the movie. But like the way that he's delivering this kind of like monologue about a Saturday Night Live sketch to these children technically who like don't really even know what that is at this point, right? And he just seems like he actually has such reverence for Chris Kattan that I'm like, this is real. This is canon.
It's such a like well-rehearsed thing that you can tell he's done like 1,000 times, and he's just like faked his way into giving like a real sense of gravity to it, you know.
Also, I assume that Steven Yeun loves Chris Kattan.
Well,
he goddamn better.
I think it's like the perfect SNL actor pick because it's like I feel like if you know Chris Kattan, especially from like SNL, like you know how good he was on there, and also it's sort of like an old like a name that would like be funny for like old like people that like don't
Right.
know it's like a good like joke carrot,
And
actor name on there.
And I think it goes further to the point of like he's telling this, and obviously he's like very proud of it, but like I was saying, OJ and M are just like, what the fuck are you talking about? So it's like
This
he
is a
thinks
Wendy's.
it's yeah, exactly, like, sir. He's like, oh my god, like I was played by this person, and like they don't know who he is, so it's like antiquated, and I think that's like a perfect like just the commentary on the situation that's happening, right?
It's also no one can read, like no one is paying attention at all that like OJ has like zero fucking interest in any of this.
Oh yeah, no, he doesn't. He's not here.
Just wanted to sell the
it
horse
or
and get
whatever.
out.
Yeah, and I love that like he also is like a Jupe is like trying his best to just be like play off that like what happened to him was like not traumatizing. He just was like, well, because M's like, well, what really happened? And he was just like, so like he doesn't actually, and so like the point too here is that like he's not actually telling them what happened to him. It's this whole thing is him explaining like the SNL thing. We see what happened, but it's like later as a flashback, and it's like he's not actually talking about what happened.
I also love like M's energy in this scene of like the person that comes in. They're like, "Oh, are you that kid that almost got murdered by that monkey on TV?" Like she has that like real like blunt like tornado energy in this scene, and I mean like throughout the movie, but it's like that very much like if like. I don't know, like say like I'm trying to think of somebody here. I'll put it in Katie terms. If like somebody highly energetic went up to like Matthew Broderick and was like, "Hey, are you that guy that like killed that person in that car accident?"
Me? Are you saying it's me?
Yeah,
energy?
but like you would,
because I
would not.
No,
you would
yes.
like throw something at him, but like it's like somebody that's like overly excited that they're meeting a celebrity, but bring up the most like insanely traumatic part of their celebrity.
So like it's a whole thing, right? And he's also bragging about how this couple paid him like $10,000 to sleep in the memorabilia room or something. I don't know.
Weird.
I don't want to know.
It's just a closet.
I don't want to know. Yeah. Okay. So. Basically, like, yeah. So Jupe is like telling it up or whatever. They don't know what the fuck he's talking about. Because he's old, you know, and so M kind of like ends the situation by just
like he is supposed to be younger than OJ.
Oh, I don't think so. I did not get that impression at all. Either way, M is like, oh yeah, I'm gonna YouTube that. Sounds great, or whatever she says. So they leave.
Which, like that's a small thing.
Oh, well, I guess
that
Daniel
is a good commentary and also super fucked up.
Stephen Young is 5 years older than him, by the way. So I guess.
Well,
you're right.
I just meant the character. Yeah, I think yeah. Also don't know how. Well, anyways, whatever. Yeah, I'll Google it. I will Google this traumatizing SNL skit that happened to you.
Because it's like the kids dying on the set of Twilight Zone. Like that's just up on YouTube. You know.
Yeah.
That's like that's too real.
So they leave. This is when OJ tells M that Jupe has offered to buy the ranch. Obviously, we know it's nefarious or whatever, but she's like into it. She's like, why don't you just go ahead and do it? Like, whatever. So this is when like they start splitting the movie into different sections, and this one is called Ghost.
Oh, I forgot about this. I love that they're all essentially named after like the horses.
Yeah, so, okay. This is, I don't know exactly actually when the ghost thing starts because I wrote it on the side, but, they essentially, like, they've been bickering this entire time because it's, like, very obvious that, like, they lead different lives, right? She is only really back to, like, help him with the training situation. Then she wants to come back to the house and get some of her stuff because I think they say 6 months have passed, or maybe it's been a little longer since their dad died. But they go back to the house and they drink and they smoke weed. And this is when they start reminiscing about like their life. And this is where they start talking about Jean Jacket, the horse, which Jean Jacket is a perfect name for a horse. Like, amazing.
Jean Jacket is a very good animal name.
It's so good. If I didn't have to name all of my cats M names, I would name a cat Jean Jacket. Mean Macket. There you go.
There you go.
So they're kind of we don't actually get this. I don't think this is the scene where they actually talk about Jean Jacket. It might be later. Yeah, anyways, the story behind that is essentially that, like, growing up on the horse farm, they all had different horses they were going to train. There was one named Jean Jacket that Em was supposed to get to train. That was supposed to be like her first horse, and she was really excited about it. But then they basically said, we want Jean Jacket to be in the Scorpion King movie starring The Rock. And so instead of allowing Em to still train Jean Jacket and, like, kind of prove herself, their dad just, like, took Jean Jacket away and did the training himself with OJ. And that was, like, a pivotal, like, point for her, that she was like, okay, like, I'm out, like, I'm obviously not valued here, like, I'm gonna go pursue something else. So that was, like, a pivotal thing for her in her life. So they're kind of just, like, talking. MC's Ghost, which is the horse. I'm pretty sure it was the horse that the dad was riding when he got hit with a nickel. So Ghost is out in the pasture. She's like, what is Ghost doing out there? So OJ goes out after him, and it's nighttime at this point, and he hears the screaming in the sky again, which at nighttime is, if it was horrifying. Bad in the daytime, it is really bad at the nighttime. And it's like, the subtitles say, I'm saying screaming, the subtitles say shrieking, and, like, it really is shrieking. And the power goes out again, the power goes out at the house, and OJ sees something in the sky. Not sure what it is at this point. It's really big, though. He, like, comes back, M's like, the power went out, and they're just kind of, like, they kind of, like, start to talk about how they come to the conclusion that this is, like, some kind of UFO, and they're going to try and get rich by capturing a video of it or a picture of it or whatever. And so that's going to be, like, their way to save the farm. So they immediately go to purchase a bunch of surveillance videos where they meet Angel, who becomes a main character. He's basically, like, their hacker. Not really. He's, like, an IT guy who sets up their cameras.
His character's so good.
I love him. He's basically just, like, again, like, kind of like OJ, where he's just, like, he's not, like, as socially awkward, but he's just like, oh, my fucking retail job. You guys you normies have no idea what you're doing. Like, let me help. But once they have this, like, whole conversation that's just about, like, APIs and, API.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
That is something else. Unidentified flying.
Oh,
what did they change UAP? API is, like, Asian Pacific Islanders, like, book month or whatever. Okay. Yes.
I guess his character was originally written to just be this, like, super upbeat, like, happy-go-lucky type character, and until, like, they cast him, and, like, he was like, well, I have, like, this, like, other take I think this character would be, and Jordan Peele was like, good, go for it.
Do it. It works. It really works. So he gets really into it, right? He gets, like, invested in what's going on with them.
Also, shout out that Circuit City that was closed down, and they're like, yeah, you can just film in it, whatever.
I love it. What a time capsule Circuit City is.
Yeah, I feel like every time a movie's just like, get it, it's the 90s, here's a blockbuster, I'm like, no, throw a fucking Radio Shack or Circuit City on there.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, Circuit City is a good one, because, like, I feel like a lot of people didn't even go to
I would
Circuit
have everybody
City,
at a
but
Sizzler.
You knew it existed. Sizzler.
Yeah.
I think Sizzlers are, I don't know why, but we Googled it recently, and Sizzlers still exists.
Yeah, I'm sure there's probably one, like, somewhere. There's, like, a bunch of restaurants that I feel like I'm always like, oh, that restaurant hasn't existed for, like, a decade, and you find out there's still, like, one, like, Ponderosa or some shit in, like,
Ponderosa,
fucking Alabama.
Do you remember Roy Rogers?
I know Roy Rogers existed, but it was never, like, you know, I was, like, never in an area I was in.
I went to a birthday party at one, which is, like, why I know what it is. But also, their theme was, like, the Old West. I remember, like, either the play area or something about it was shaped like one of those old wagons, like Oregon Trail wagons. And I was like, what is this?
Yeah, so you got dysentery.
Yeah, I did.
Died of a snake bite.
I've been dead this whole time.
Well, we do that.
Yeah. Okay, so Um, I would normally say I love this scene, okay, because it's basically okay. So basically, like, it's nighttime, right? I said that, and OJ is like in the stable, like basically just making everything like that, making sure everything's okay, and the power goes out or the lights turn off or whatever, and he starts hearing this like again, the subtitle said chittering, and you guys know I fucking hate chittering. Don't chitter at me. I hate it. It's so scary. And it's kind of like a long scene because it happens very slowly.
So good.
But all of a sudden, a silhouette just like steps out from behind the corner and starts approaching him, like kind of slowly, making this fucking weird noise. And then one pops out sideways from like an open stable door, and he's like, OJ is like, nope, I'm out. So he like backs up, but then has the wherewithal somehow. I would have fucking left. I would have just left to like take out his phone and start recording. And like I think that this is an actual like phobia, like there's a name for it, but one of the things that so he runs around the ring, right? And so there's a corner, and slowly you just see the alien, like an alien head, come out around, like peeking at him, but it's kind of like sideways. I have like such a phobia that I'm gonna see something like slowly peeking out from around a corner, and it is so scary. And so he's like recording it, and he's like, oh my god, like obviously he's like excited that he's like getting this footage, and then all of a sudden one drops down kind of like right beside him, and he just fucking punches it. And it's so funny because it turns out to just be a child. So great. It's Jupe's kids who have put on costumes, alien costumes, and come to like scare him because essentially M stole this like decoy horse from their farm. Yeah. And so they came, they're like, don't mess with our dad or whatever the fuck, and like run off. And M's like, what happened? And like, normally I feel like a weird jump scare like this would make me mad, but I think it's great. I think it works really, really well in this movie because like, we're not dealing with regular aliens. You know what I mean? And it's fucking creepy. These children.
The whole scene is so well done.
Yeah, it's
and the way he lingers on every shot, and he has the kids so well hidden.
Mm-hmm.
That, like every time they pop out, it's like, Jesus fuck, I didn't even see that at all.
I hate it.
I feel like it's clearly like a homage to like Signs.
Sure.
And like it's I feel like it's even more well done in this, which like, you know, this is like fucking 20 something years after Signs came out, but like
he had time to perfect it.
Like it's so like, and it's also a thing that as you're watching it you're like, well, like I was watching it and I was like, all right, I know this isn't gonna be real, but like I don't know what the fuck's going on.
Yeah.
Well, because I feel like it's not even like halfway through the movie at this point. So when you're first watching it, you're like, they're revealing like, why are what's going on here? It's so creepy.
Spoiler alert, those kids die. It's fine.
Yeah.
They get what's coming to them. M does say, don't mess with the Haywoods. She's gonna fuck them up.
Sick jean jacket on him.
Yeah, get him, Genie. I love Jean Jacket. Both Jean Jackets, actually. So it's nighttime, right? They basically have like the surveillance up, and M is like watching it. There is a jump scare with like a praying mantis situation. OJ does retrieve. They're pretty scary.
They're super scary.
Perfect insect to use.
They're scary. And so M gets the jump scare and is just like, I need to go to bed, which I feel that. So she's gonna go to bed. Angel, meanwhile, is illegally also watching their camera stream from his office or whatever, and so
they can do that,
right? And so he is, you know, because he's like invested in them and like what's happening. So he calls M and is like, hey, don't be scared of this this bug on the monitor 1 or whatever. And she's like, yeah, I already saw it. And he's like, also monitor 2 is down, which is not great because, as we know, the electronics like stop working around the UFO situation, right? So this is like stressful, right? And she's also like, why the fuck are you watching? Like, that's illegal. Whatever. It's fine.
Good
though.
Question.
Because, yeah. So OJ is down getting Ghost, who, like we said, had run away, right? And one of the things that I love so much about like when the creature shows up, it's like not only the screaming starts, but also like everything else just gets so silent. And if you're outside, like in the middle of nowhere and it's dark out, it's not quiet. You know what I mean? Like there's bugs, there's all kinds of noise going on. It gets completely silent.
I don't know if like Kit noticed this, but I know like the one like when that tornado went through like my backyard, like the like 5 minutes or so before it gets so fucking quiet because like all of the sort of animal background noise and shit, you're just like
they're
you're
all
used
scared
to
and they stop. Yeah,
being there that you like you only notice once it's gone. I think they talk about it like if like you're like near a shore and all of a sudden you just don't hear animals to like get the fuck out of there because like there's probably like a tsunami coming or some shit.
Yeah.
So like that would be so fucking upsetting.
Yeah, it is interesting how like if you like pay attention, like there's always noise, right? And then like the absence of noise is so loud, which sounds like some emo lyrics or whatever. But it's true. Like I remember one night when we were in California, you know, there's like blackouts all the time or whatever. We were like literally sleeping and the sound of the power going out like woke us up. And I was like, oh my God, what was that? And it was just so quiet. It was very strange. So like for all of the sound to go away and then you just, again, hear shrieking from the sky, I feel like I would pee my pants. Like there's no way.
Oh my God, if I was in the middle of nowhere and I just heard like essentially the echoing sounds of multiple people screaming, I would just self-immolate somehow.
I mean, like goodbye.
Spontaneously combust.
Spontaneous human combustion. Yeah, exactly. And so this happens, and of course, like he's been through this before, so he's just kind of like looking around, like what's happening, and then all of a sudden we see essentially like a little tornado appear around the decoy horse, and decoy horse is for some reason very hard to say. Sucks up the horse, and this is when OJ sees that the alien appears to be at this moment a cloud.
It like fucking rocks like how good the promotional stuff for this movie was, where like you see like the promotional posters and you're just like, I don't know what the fuck this poster's about. And then you watch the movie and you're like, oh, okay.
I see 11 things.
Yeah. So the horse
fucking jean jacket is Stephen Yoon's hat on that one.
It's fucking like it was just like, I don't know, everything about this movie just seems like it was so like well thought out in advance of like just even down to like promotion. And like, I don't know, it's pretty great.
Yeah, so like at this moment we finally see what we think is the UFO. It is a cloud, and like the decoy horse that it sucked up had like a ribbon on it, like a garland on it that had flags, and so now the bottom of the flags are just like sticking out of the bottom of the cloud. And I remember like maybe I tried not to watch like pretty much anything about this when it came out, but I remember the poster of like the cloud with the flags hanging from it, and you're like, what could this possibly
be? There was like a poster that just had like the fucking horse statue or whatever just like in the sky, like very, very good.
Yeah. And then there's like a little bit of a chase, right? After OJ is safe, M is like, we need to leave. Like, sorry, my neighbors just got home and they're bumping it and their dog's freaking out. M wants to leave because like obviously something crazy is going on, and OJ is just kind of like, okay, see ya.
Well, catch you later.
Yeah.
OJ's got
don't let the door hit you.
Real Nathan mentality in his life. I appreciate it.
You're gonna stay and work the horse farm if there's an alien
just the
happening?
sort of like I don't know, like where you're just
he
like
he essentially doesn't react.
well, he's
either.
like
He's just kind of like,
he's in this position where he's just sort of like resigned himself to like, I don't know, this is where I'm at, I guess, and this is what I have. Like,
Yeah,
he's very,
this is what I can fucking
he's
deal with.
constantly like, there's a bunch of times where Emma will be like, well, let's go do something. He's like, I can't. There's work to be done or whatever, and it's just like, but he's like, it's so.
Some of us have jobs.
Yeah, and it's like
some of us have mouths to feed.
I don't know. I feel
literally.
like the way he portrays this character is so well done. Like, if they're just the way they're like so drastically opposite, but like obviously still like brother and sister and shit. Like, because they have that moment from like the trailer where they're doing like the not high five, but the, I don't know what you would call it. Like, it's not a hand.
Oh, the slap.
Yeah,
hand slap.
And like
hand
where
slap,
like it's like the
rapid hand slapping.
The real only sort of like excited moment for him that you see in the movie, because like even when he's like in the midst of all of this shit, like when he's going to like try to save that TMZ motorcycle guy later, he's still like, hey man, can you get up? Let me get you on this horse. And it's like still very sort of like down, like deadpan, I guess. And like, I don't know, I kind of like appreciate that choice of like the way he portrayed this character.
Yeah. So he's like, okay, bye. And so obviously M's like, well, I'm not going to leave you here by yourself. So Angel comes, and this is when they identify the cloud in question. Like, essentially there's this huge cloud in the sky that doesn't move, which that's bad, right?
Upsetting.
Pretty weird, at least.
Yeah, they're just like, well, that cloud hasn't moved, so like, what the fuck's going on? And like the whole thing with the other thing that I appreciate about this is that like all of the little things that sometimes will happen in horror, like specifically horror movies or whatever, where it'd be like, this thing happened for absolutely no reason. That doesn't happen in this movie. So like at first you're like, the whole thing with the praying mantis being on the camera, like that was important because they didn't actually get a shot of like the alien in the sky, right? The thing with M knowing how to use that wishing well thing is that like earlier when they visited, when OJ was selling Lucky to Jupe, she like accidentally photobombed these people by looking down in the wishing well, and that's when she learned that it was a camera. And so like if you're watching it, that photobomb thing seems like, why are they putting it in here? It's to display that she just doesn't randomly know that this is a camera. It feels like, why would you? You know? So like that's another thing that I appreciate about it. So this is when we cut to Gordy, and so this is when we get the actual behind the scenes of what happens with Gordy. So essentially like what's happening is we're getting footage of like an old sitcom of the show. Was it called Gordy's Life or
Gordy's Home?
Gordy's Home. And the scene is that it is Gordy's birthday and they are bringing him gifts. And Jupe plays like a young character, like a child, right, on the show. And he, I don't know, there's like some dialogue going on about like, I'm giving him a bigger gift, whatever. And essentially what happens is that a box opens and a bunch of balloons come out, and the balloons rise up to the ceiling and burst, causing this chimpanzee, who is a wild animal, to basically like go feral, quote unquote. Like the chimp is just being a chimp, right? But like he basically just like starts attacking people, and Jupe is kind of like trapped underneath this table just watching him like kill and eat people, kind of. And like obviously he's scared, but like he can't really do anything. And kind of what happens in this scene is like the monkey is like obviously very scared. He doesn't understand what's happening. He's like looking around, kind of like stressed out, right? He's covered in blood. He looks over, he makes eye contact with Jupe, and he's like, oh, my friend's here. So he kind of like is fine at that point, because he walks up and goes to give him like a fist bump. Jupe says that the TV show was the first time that there was an exploding fist bump, which I love. They just like made that a canon. And so Jordy, like puts his hand out to do like the fist bump, and Jupe goes to do it also. And
God,
then
so fucking
the police
well done.
Come in and fucking obliterate
like
the monkey right in front of his face.
I knew it was coming. Like it's like you're just watching it and you're like, all right, like this is obviously not gonna end well. And it's obvious he doesn't fucking attack the kid, so like something
Right.
else upsetting is about to happen. But I was just like, it's just, yeah, it's so well done the way he like.
I will
portrays
say
it.
too, if you're listening to this and you're worried about watching it, it is not a real monkey. It's not a real chimpanzee. It's CG, and we also don't actually see
Jordan Peele went like Cannibal Holocaust with it, and
Yeah, he killed a
real
chimpanzee.
champ. Yeah, multiple takes. And you also don't actually see it get shot. There's just like kind of an explosion of blood on the child's
yeah,
face
like the
or whatever.
entire thing is done where he's like the Jupe is like under this table, and there's like the tablecloth hanging over it, and it's just kind of like the fist slightly coming under it to like fist bump him.
Let's bump him, yeah.
Also, like
Burned
and
into my brain.
a lot of like
Yeah.
real what's that fucking Michelangelo painting of like the
creator.
yeah. Like it kind of like I like that was the first thing that like popped into my mind seeing that.
When I think so, like when Kit was saying earlier about you know, how it's just about like taming whatever, I feel like this is the moment for Jupe where he thinks he did tame him. Like he thinks that, like, you know, obviously the monkey like saw him and was like felt safe with him enough to be like, oh, I'm fine,
Like, oh, we're chill.
like fist bump or
Like-
whatever. And it's like you didn't really, like, that's not the situation. Like he reacted to being scared and then he just calmed down, right? Like it has nothing to do with you really. But he, I think, took that and like went forward as in like, I am the alpha. You know what I mean? Like
I think
Yeah.
there's also like a real like, you know, like another thing that like ties it to more like real world stuff where like, you know, you'll see footage from like a zoo where like a kid falls into like a primate area or whatever, and like I understand like that this is sort of like what happens because it's like they're gonna be like, you know, we gotta save the kid over this animal, but like both, like at least anytime I've ever seen it on something, like the primate will usually walk up and like just be interested in like can like it's the same way like dogs and like cats like will see
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
child and
It's
like
just a curious,
understand,
a curious creature.
but like they'll also understand that it's like a baby or a child or whatever, and they're just like you'll see like a gorilla like pick up a kid and like, I don't know, just be like, hey, this is just like a child, let's go protect it, and then like, you know, like they fucking shoot the gorilla or whatever, and like
Yeah.
I feel like that was kind of like played out like in that scene as well, and it's like I get it, but it's
Although-
like a lot of the time it's like I feel like primates just hate adults, and that's why they're
sure,
constantly just
that's fair.
Don't blame
Same.
him.
That's totally fair. I think that one of the things with mammals and like, I think inherently there is like an understanding that, and then like obviously this isn't always the case, but we tend to view like whatever the young version of something is, like kittens, puppies, baby, whatever the fuck they call baby chimps, babies, as like innocent to be protected, but the adults are threatening because that's who's shooting them and trapping them, blah blah blah. So I think that's like inherently true, right? I don't trust any animal. I sent this like video to my friend that was like an orangutan at the zoo, like actually asking, like, you know, tapping on the glass and like asking this mother to
see
like
the
look
shot.
at
Yeah,
its
I've seen
baby.
that.
So
And
I
then
sent it to
doesn't
my
it, like
friend.
run
and I-
off and bring its like kid to like the
Yeah,
thing?
it is actually it's like heartwarming. Like the monkey like looks at the baby and kind of like makes like a oh kind of expression, goes and gets the partner, brings it over, whatever. I sent it to my friend and was like, that monkey just wants to eat that baby. I don't know.
Do
You know
blame
what?
it?
Do I
Do you
what?
blame it?
No, they look delicious, to be honest. Okay. So, yes, that is the actual background of what happens with Jupe. Now we switch to a new section, which is Lucky. Like, the scene starts with OJ finding a flyer for, I don't remember what they called the show, Star-Studded something. It's basically this like friends and family event that Jupe is having at Jupiter's Claim, and OJ can tell by like looking at the flyer that something's amiss. So he immediately says, I'm going to get Lucky, because Lucky is on the flyer, right? Or whatever. It can't be great. And it switches to Jupiter's Claim, where we see Jupe doing a show. This is where I wrote, I love his suit. His suit is so great. He like turns around. There's like a UFO
Perfect.
bedazzled on the back with like appliques. It's like a gorgeous like crimson color. It's so great. And essentially, like, it plays out kind of slow here. Like, he's giving a speech like, ladies and gentlemen, welcome. My family experienced this great thing, whatever. And basically what you find out is happening is that Jupe, we don't know how he discovered the alien, but he's discovered it, and he's basically been putting on shows where he takes a horse out there in order to lure the creature. And, like, they've established throughout the movie that there's some kind of, like, schedule that it's on, and it's because, like, I don't know, it's just like when it comes down to feed or whatever, right? And it's been on a schedule. And so Jupe is like, yeah, there's a UFO here, and when you guys leave, it's gonna be crazy, you're gonna love it, and like reveals that Lucky is inside this like plastic cage. Essentially, they're gonna offer it up to the alien for everybody to see. And then he's like, but first, my kids are gonna do something.
Yeah, so here's a song and dance number.
No, thank you. Also, we see this like stand that has slushies on it, and one of them says cactus, and I want it so bad. I don't know what it is. Cactus slushie. It looked delicious.
I want one of the alien masks.
Looks pretty cool. Also because, again, the alien, there's one actual alien in this movie, and like it's not like the little creature that they've invented. It kind of looks like an owl. It kind of reminds me of like the
like a barn owl.
Court of the Owls, Nathan. The Court of Owls masks, like like a barn owl. Yeah, like it's interesting to me that they know what the alien looks like. They've been seeing it, but they've like created this other character, which and there's like dolls of it, which I fucking love. Anyways, the kids are gonna come out, do a song and dance, yippity yap, whatever. But then like we see that the alien is descending, like it gets really windy and everyone's like, oh my goodness, what's going on? We also see that Mary Jo Margaret, or whatever the fuck her name is, who was also on the show with Jupe.
Yeah, she's the one that
when
gets attacked.
She was younger.
She I think
is in the stand.
Is she the one who like the shoe was from, I assume?
Yeah.
That's what I thought. We don't totally see her face. She's got like a hat with a veil on, but you can very obviously see that she's been
sort
mauled.
of going back to like, you know, the scene we talked about earlier where they like kill Jordy. Like the sound effect of her like getting attacked and like choking on blood
Him punching
and
her
shit,
in the face.
and like it's so fucking gross and like well done.
Yeah. And then she looks like,
you never really get like a real shot of her face. It's like this very quick like glimpse when like wind blows her veil a little bit when she's like looking up at Jean Jacket, but like you could tell she got fucked up.
and has obviously had struggles with it. So so the UFO comes, and he obviously Jupe is concerned because he's like got this whole thing planned, and he's like, okay, that's not, it's fine, it's whatever, like we're ready whenever he's ready, come on down. But like it's clear very fast that like what Jupe has been expecting to happen is not happening, because the reason we're saying Jean Jacket so much is that eventually towards the end, when OJ and M and Angel are coming up with a plan to like capture a picture of the alien, they just start calling the alien Jean Jacket after the horse. So from now on, the alien is Jean Jacket. Jean Jacket comes and he's like, what's up, peeps? It's really interesting to me. Like, I love the way that it evolves in this movie, because like at the very beginning, we don't see anything. Then we see it as a cloud. Then we see it as what looks like kind of like your typical flying saucer in a cloud. And then all of a sudden it literally
looks like the underside of a cowboy hat.
It does. It also reminds me of
a mushroom cap,
a sand dollar.
It looked like the bottom of a mushroom.
Oh, sand dollar, yeah.
Yeah, because it's like flat. But anyways, it comes down. It does look like the bottom of a cowboy hat or what have you. And what it ends up with at the end is just like, I don't know how you come up with it. It's crazy. So right now he's just Jean Jacket, the cowboy hat. Comes down, and there's this very cool scene of Jupe staring up at Jean Jacket, and there's like wind going all over the place, and you just like can see the shadows of the people being sucked up behind him, and it's very cool. Because, like, Jupe is thinking, oh, yeah, I've tamed this guy. Like, no, he's not going to do anything to me. It's fine. Like, we're all safe. Oh, no, they all get fucking sucked up. There's, like, 40
Horrific.
people or something that get abducted or whatever.
Digested. Horrifically.
Because this is when we see, finally, the inside of what's going on. Like, this is where you, as the viewer, finally realize that this is not a spaceship. It's literally, like,
it's an animal.
A flying animal. And it's hard to describe... like the people get sucked up, and it's like, imagine getting sucked up in like a Go-Gurt tube, but it's flesh. It's like
the most claustrophobic looking fucking thing.
They're getting
and it's
sucked
just like
up.
Close-ups of them all screaming, like slowly
terrible.
being forced into each other in there.
And so then that's also
awful.
like
not how I want to die.
No. They're just being digested or squelched or whatever the fuck. And, like, this is when you start to realize that, like, oh my god, all of that stuff falling out of the sky was, like, literally Jean Jacket pooping out the people's stuff that they had in their pockets, like their keys and... Can
we at least acknowledge, though, that last week's episode, when we did Frozen, where the guy said the Sarlacc pit would be the worst way to die? I think he's correct. You gotta figure, it's this for 1,000 years.
Yeah. True.
Yeah. So he was right.
Yeah. All right, redemption for Jack or whatever the fuck his name was, who broke his legs immediately, but it's fine.
No, that was the other guy. It was Sean Astin that says it.
Oh, okay. Well, he's fine then. Yeah, okay. So we see inside the ship. It's fleshy. It's, So OJ arrives at Jupiter's claim, and it's like completely abandoned. Obviously, there's trash everywhere. When he looks up in the sky, he sees what actually kind of just looks like a flying saucer to me and to him or whatever. And Lucky also is okay. He ends up getting like knocked out. He wakes up. It's nighttime and it's raining. And a bunch of stuff basically kind of happens at the same time where, like, he's trying to save Lucky in the trailer. Angel is like, okay, like, Angel has covered all of the security cameras with plastic because it's supposed to storm or whatever. And so he's like, okay, I'll come back in the morning, like, see you later. He goes to leave. This is the scene where he starts listening to the Sunglasses at Night, and he's driving away, and all of a sudden, like, slowly, the van just, like, loses power, right? And it's, like, all warped and crazy or whatever. And, this is when OJ calls M and basically tells her that Jean Jacket is not a spaceship, it's an animal. Angel ends up getting back in the house, right? And this is the scene we've been talking about where, like, they're in the house, it's storming really bad. All of a sudden it's silent. They hear the people screaming, and this is when they hear, like, Jean Jacket pooping out all the people's stuff, but it's, like, onto their house. And so this entire scene is done super well because, like, not only do you have, like, the torrential downpour and then the rain sound stops because you have Jean Jacket blocking the rain from the house, then you have the people screaming. Eventually it stops because Jean Jacket, like, squelches them in her folds or whatever the fuck. And then screaming stops abruptly. Then you have the sound of the people's stuff hitting the house. Then you have the, like, disgusting viscera and blood raining down on the house, like, from Jean Jacket, like, expelling whatever he's not digesting, I guess. I don't know. It's
my
insane.
idea, or the way I took it, was that he's, like, essentially throwing up because of, like, eating, like,
the undigestible stuff.
Yeah,
because,
could
like,
be, yeah.
Like, you know, the scene that happens
Pooping,
in the
throwing
middle
up,
of it,
you know.
where OJ is trying to, like, drive there, then his car obviously starts to, like, shut down, and then, like, the fucking decoy horse just, like, smashes into his windshield.
In the window, yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah, literally that's what happens next, right?
But, like, yeah, like, this whole scene is probably the most, like, horror-ish that the movie gets. And, like, because it is a lot more, like, sci-fi sort of action type stuff towards the end of it, but like as this is happening and you're kind of like piecing together what happens, and all of a sudden it's just like literally like viscera like raining down on the house is so fucking upsetting.
Yeah, and then
you imagine how hard
like,
it's going to be to clean that house up. You literally have to just move, or just like turn it into a haunted house.
It's like, yeah, she should have sold it to Jupe before he got eaten.
I would just move into Jupiter's Claim, honestly.
Like,
yeah, fuck it. Why not?
Why not? His whole family's dead, so no one's getting it. Okay, so now OJ is like stuck in his van, which has the trailer that has Lucky on it, right? And you see, like, again, the absolute, like, I don't know if we've talked about, like, how big Jean Jacket is. Like, at this point, even as, like, a flying saucer, is, like, freaking huge. Like,
bigger than a whole house.
Can cover the entire house. And this is, like, a multi-story. It's not a Victorian house, but, like, imagine how big Victorian houses are, because it kind of is, right? And you see this, like, mass of Jean Jacket, like, moving from on top of the house, coming closer to, like, on top of OJ's van, and then just, like, the void of water. Like, the whole scene is just, like, really well shot. And, like, he loses power, right? The horse thing happens. He just has to wait it out. So eventually he wakes up in the van, right? It's dawn. OJ drives, makes it to the house, is able to open the van for Em and Angel to run out. They get in the van. They go back to Angel's apartment. Yeah. And this scene is really cool, too, because it's just, like, dark. The house is kind of like backlit, and it's just like
fog.
It's
like so foggy and dusty, like
very
creepy. I just
creepy.
love that he's like getting them to run by like essentially treating them like horses.
Yeah,
where he's just like, come on, and like slapping his thigh and stuff, and like I don't know, like the way he does, like the sort of like he gets to the van and opens it or whatever, and he has this weird like moment that he pauses and like looks down and kind of like centers himself, I guess.
Well, this is where he has the flashback of the beginning when they put that bulb, when like he realizes that like you shouldn't be making eye contact with like
don't look at it.
The horse or whatever. And then that's when he like changes his behavior and is like, we have to train this thing. So that's like essentially what they're doing, right? Yeah. So he's like, come on, yip. And they run to the van. Then they go to Angel's apartment and just kind of like veg out because like, what can you even do? They basically just like play VR.
Em in the background, like food, next to the wall with like a VR headset on and shit. Yeah. And then like Angel's got one on too, sitting in a chair playing something, and then OJ is just like sitting there like, I don't know, thinking and spaced out.
Yeah. And then they're like at a diner eating or whatever, and they're kind of just like processing what happened to them, right? Because like that's pretty traumatic, I would say.
Yeah.
And
don't know how you move past that.
I don't know. I really don't know, right? So basically there's like this like little scene where Em calls, what's the filmmaker guy's name?
Ansel?
Michael Wincott. Antlers. His name is Antlers Holst. What a weird name. So she calls him and is basically like trying to get him to come out to like video for them, and he's like, not interested.
That is not all what his voice sounded like.
Yeah. That's like essentially the opposite of his voice.
He's like Scottish for some reason.
Yeah, I could not do his voice if I tried.
Was he the villain in The Crow?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was top dollar. Right. So he has, but just imagine, okay? And he's basically like, yeah, not interested, whatever. So,
don't care.
Basically, they go to the diner. They're just like having chit chat, and finally, OJ is like, okay, enough. Like, we have mouths to feed, quite literally. Like, we have to take care of the horses. We have to go back to the ranch. And Emma's kind of just like, no, like, we almost died. We should just leave or whatever. And he's just like, well,
time to get out of California.
Literally, he's
somewhere
basically
without clouds.
Like, yeah, well, you know what? I will have to say, if you live in Northern California, where we lived like in Oakland, there was almost never any clouds, and that was weird. But now I'm thankful because there's a lot of clouds in Florida.
Eyes to the skies, Katie.
This is all
or not, or no. You don't want eyes to the skies.
what's the fucking
Look down.
stupid ass conspiracy theory about the weather control shit in the sky?
Oh yeah.
I can't think of what it is, but I think that's what Jean Jacket comes from. God, why can't I think of the name of it? I literally just listened to a podcast about this last night.
Are you saying there's a conspiracy theory where people think there's like a
There's
weather
a conspiracy
machine?
theory that you know how when you see like the fucking hold on, I'll have to look it up. Just
okay. I have not heard of this. I'm intrigued.
Come on, Spotify. QAnon Anonymous at
It's like I don't know what that does for anyone.
chemtrails.
Made it to where
Okay.
Yeah,
okay,
like there's
okay.
people
I
that
have
think
heard of
like the government is that the
Yes.
chemtrails is just like they're spraying chemicals into the air to control the weather or whatever, and I'm like, well, they're doing a bad fucking job
right.
if that's the case, because
yeah, right.
Wow. Well, you know,
all they're doing is creating
That's-
jean jackets.
that's right. I would love a jean jacket, to be honest with
Same.
you.
You could eat me.
And okay,
I'm
so
ready to be
OJ's
digested.
basically just like, yeah, right, immediately. Basically saying that like we know the behaviors of Jean Jacket now, so we can go back and do our jobs and like we'll be fine. Like he's essentially just saying like we know animals, we know their behavior, we can just like go back and do our job. We won't get eaten or whatever. And so meanwhile, Antlers here's like basically sees news reports about all of those people going missing at Jupiter's Claim. I think there was like 40 or something like that. And basically he's like, oh, okay, I'm in. And so there's basically just like a montage of them talking about and planning like what they're going to do. Because like their ultimate goal is not to kill Jean Jacket. They just want proof of it.
Well, yeah, they want to
that
like
they-
be able to get a picture of it and like sell it for
That's
whatever.
it. That's all they want.
Yep.
Yeah. And so basically there's a montage of them like getting stuff together and like figuring out their plan. And here's what happens, okay? They get a bunch of wacky flailing inflatable tube men that they
Great
put
plan.
along a path. And the idea is that when Jean Jacket comes, the tube man will stop working so they could like tell where it is, right? Also, OJ is riding Lucky. They have walkie-talkies to use. Antlers has a manual camera so that like they won't lose power. Right?
Yeah,
this is
he
where
talks about like he created this like essentially like hand crank camera for like filming in areas where there's like no way to get electricity.
Mm-hmm.
Which is interesting because
Pretty
like
cool.
literally like I watched a thing this week that was like, or maybe I watched it last week. I don't know if I talked about it in the last episode or not, but like these people that like they got like the first ever video camera and like had like 45 different directors make like a 52-second short with it. So like David Lynch and like Spike Lee and a bunch of other people that like just made these shorts with like literally the first ever like video camera that like I believe was also like hand crank powered. So it was like a weird sort of like little crossover for me this
Like,
week of seeing
yeah.
that.
Synchronicity.
They, there's also like that. I don't know if we talked about it. They talk about like with the horse decoy that like gets dropped back onto the car that like OJ's like, you know, he ate that horse statue thinking it was a real horse and it like really fucked up his insides, and that's like they realized
Even my tummy
and
ache.
so like that also comes to play with I think the inflatable fucking things that you see outside of every fucking car dealership now. Like that, like it's just I think picking up on like things moving and just swallowing them, thinking that everything moving is just sort of, I don't know, like an organic thing. And it's like I think that's the idea with the tube men.
So OJ is riding Lucky, and they have they have walkies to talk to each other. Antlers has the manual camera so they can get the photo or whatever. Angel and M are kind of just like surveying the video surveillance, right? So this is when this whole scene to me was like so fucking weird, because this like random weird guy comes riding up on a motorcycle, and M is like, "What are you doing here? Like, we're filming a Verizon commercial. Get out of here." And it turns out to just be like some fucking douchebag from TMZ like trying to get the scoop on what's happening. But it's like so unnerving because, like, first of all, his helmet is just like all silver, like reflective mirror with like one little eye hole in it. And then like his voice to me was so off-putting.
Yeah, it's well, like it's really interesting sort of reveal, because like it pulls up and they're like, wait, who the fuck is this? Like a man in black sort of situation? Is this like what government are you from, or like whatever? And then it just like turns out to be this fucking TMZ dude,
fucking TMZ
who's
guy.
like trying to work. Like, first is like, oh, let's like work together, we'll split the money, and then she's like, no, get the fuck out of here. And he's like, so be it, I'll take it for myself, and just like drives off.
Got a blast. Zoom. M's trying to get rid of him, but he is just like not interested in personal boundaries, which is fair. And so he takes off riding on his electric motorcycle. But because of like he takes off, right? And M's just like, I don't know. And the Angel's just like, yeah, this is really bad, because like, what do you think is going to happen when something that is electric going very fast hits a electromagnetic force field? And essentially like what happens is that the bike immediately stops and like launches the dude, but he makes this like ee sound that is so fucking funny, and he hits the ground, right? And he's like yelling because obviously he's in pain. Like, well, he's probably
he's yelling like when OJ gets out there to like save him, he's yelling for him to hand him the camera to like get this shot. Like the entire
he's saying, take my picture.
And it's like it reminded me a lot of like a better version of what like I think George Romero was trying to do with Diary of the Dead, which I doubt you've seen, Katie. But like, kid, have you seen Diary of the Dead?
I've seen at least most of it.
Like the very end.
It sucked. It was so
I like
bad.
Diary of the Dead, but like it's definitely not at all up there with like I think there was like a good idea in there that I think he just didn't get to do. But like the very end of it is the guy filming everything gets bit, and it's like, you know, like as
I thought you were talking about this movie, and I was like,
so
wait,
like
what?
At the end of it, he gets bit. The guy that's like filming all this stuff, and like as he's turning, he's saying, because like the entire movie, like his girlfriend or whatever is like mad at him because he's constantly getting himself into danger trying to like film shit going on. And like at the end when he gets bit and he's starting to change, he's like you know, like she's filming him and he just keeps saying, shoot me. And you don't know if he's saying it in terms of like, don't let me turn into a zombie, or is like literally like, shoot me and film this. And I felt like the way Jordan Peele did it is like, it kind of comes off better with this like TMZ dude who's just like, no, give me like, I'm dying, and is like about to die and get eaten by this fucking spaceship, but he's like, please let me film this.
Yeah, so he's saying that or whatever, and OJ is just trying to like save him or whatever, and the guy is like only interested in like getting the shot. I wrote he's obsessed with getting his picture taken, like essentially. This is when Jean Jacket comes and just like gets him, which see you later, loser.
Eat all of TMZ.
And like honestly, it. Even though, like, this guy seems a little out of place to me, the whole point is to get his bike there for what happens at the end, right? So,
well, but I think it's also fine. Like, I don't necessarily agree that it's out of place. I think it's like very much putting more emphasis on the exploitation stuff going on in the movie, and I think using like a TMZ person is like the perfect way to do that, and like Hollywood exploitation, just like hammering home more of the exploitation stuff going on in it, I guess.
So then Jean Jacket sucks him up, fuck you, and chases OJ, who basically like the whole point was that like there were times where they couldn't tell where Jean Jacket was, and so he releases a weather balloon that has more of the flags on it for Jean Jacket to swallow. And this is kind of like a drawn out scene, right? Because like the Jean Jacket is so big, and the area that they're filming this in is like a huge, just open field ranch. So you see a lot of like aerial shots of like Lucky and OJ being like very small, and it's like just like very vast, right? So this takes place kind of like in a long scene. But essentially, what happens is Antlers. They basically OJ chases, or not chases, but like leads Jean Jacket to a spot where they do end up getting him on camera, or the light was not good enough or whatever. So
Antlers is very specifically like, I need a golden hour shot of this thing.
Yeah.
Which is stupid, but he leaves like where him and Angel were basically like camouflage or whatever, and so Angel's telling them like he left with the camera, like we don't have the camera, he left with to get a better shot, which is like fucking stupid. But of course, like Jean Jacket turns and this is like a pretty cool scene though, because Antlers ends up getting like sucked up by Jean Jacket, but we get it from the perspective of the camera that he's holding, so you just see like his legs flapping in the wind upside down and stuff. It's pretty cool.
R.I.P. to a real one.
Yeah, well, Angel gets attacked by a tarp, but because of that he survives essentially. He gets like fucking hit, like literally slapped with a tarp and like rolls down a hill and rolls in barbed wire.
I think I read that like he was supposed to die too, like he was supposed to get eaten as well, and that like I can't remember if it was like Jordan Peele or like the actor was like, well, what if like he doesn't, and like kind of like on set like change that. Yeah. Like oh man, it fucking that whole scene where he's like trying to get out of like the tarp and barbed wire. It's
my
like
God.
So like stressful. It like seems so shitty.
Yeah. Yeah, because like he's tangled up first of all in a tarp, which sucks, and then he also gets wrapped in the barbed wire, so the barbed wire is like holding the tarp on him and he's trying to get out or whatever when Jean Jacket comes back. But because of this, it essentially like tears a bunch of the barbed wire up so that Jean Jacket like sucks up some of the barbed wire fence, which can't be great for Jean Jacket.
Not good for your tummy.
He gets a tummy ache. M is also thrown and is like kind of, you know, everyone gets like a little bit roughed up in this situation with all the wind and everything, because Jean Jacket, like I said, is like creating tornadoes as like, you know.
Yeah, essentially every time he like tries to eat something, it's like creating like, this little like dust bowl tornado thing.
So she is walking, happens to make eye contact with OJ, and OJ is like telling her to get to the bike, like the electronic bike or whatever, and get out of there. Like, this is your shot to save yourself. Go. This is when, like, in the background of M trying to basically, like, limp her way down the road to get to this bike, it's, like, unfocused, but this is when we first start to see Jean Jacket unfurl, is the best word that I know for it. Like, before, Jean Jacket looked like just, like, a saucer cowboy hat, if you will, but it starts to, like, unfurl, and, like, I can't even, kind of like an ink blot situation, but Jean Jacket's white. I don't think we ever really said that before. So it just, and looks made of cloth. Like, as it continues to evolve in this situation, it's very, like, parachute, kite, like, looking material going on here. So she's doing her thing back there. She's, you know, and OJ gets unlucky, and this is where he starts leading Jean Jacket away from M so that the bike will work, right? So she gets to the bike. There's like this scene. They do this like thing, this like gesture to each other, which is basically just like, my eyes are on you, or like, I'm watching you, or I'm looking out for you, which ties back to the original story of like Jean Jacket, the horse, which is endearing. So she gets the bike going, and now she is like trying to save her brother essentially, and is like screaming and yelling at Jean Jacket like, hey, hey, hey. So Jean Jacket does this cool thing where instead of just turning, just like the opening of Jean Jacket just like appears in the back. So it's like, I don't know how to explain it. It's so cool. Visually, like breathtaking. It's just like, oh, it's so unique looking. Yeah. So M leads Jean Jacket away up to Jupiter's Claim, where she releases a balloon. She like untethers this balloon, and the balloon is basically just like a cartoon version of Jupe's Sheriff Kid character, or I don't remember what the show was, but it's basically like, yeah, him as like a Wild West
is that
sheriff
what it
guy.
was supposed to be?
Yeah.
I remember like it just looked very much like a generic, cartoon cowboy or whatever. I don't think I put together that it was supposed to be.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that's like why the whole thing was, well, either way. And so she lets the balloon, so it's like a huge, like, she's like, it's a huge balloon, right? So it goes up into the air. Jean Jacket's really interested, so she starts picking up all of the coins on the floor from, the people that got sucked up and spit out or whatever, and is powering up the camera. So this camera, we were talking about it kind of earlier, but it's like a novelty camera that is down inside a fake water well.
Yeah, it's essentially like a photo booth, but it's like that's in the bottom of like a well, so it looks like the picture's taken and looks like you're looking down like a wishing well or whatever.
It's
what
looking
a great
straight,
idea!
So
it's looking
photo thing
straight up into the sky, and I gotta say, this is like the best camera I've ever seen because it takes the picture so
like 4K,
far into the sky.
Like
The colors are beautiful. It's like, where's that technology? But it's a pain in the ass because it is also manual, like, which is great.
Hand crank.
Because they need that technology, right? But it's like a huge hand crank that she has to like use her entire body, right? She also doesn't really know the timing of it, so she's putting in coins, hand cranking it like multiple times to try and make sure that she gets the photo of Jean Jacket, right? And so this scene kind of goes on for a little while, but basically what ends up happening is that Jean Jacket does come and eat the balloon, and then essentially what happens is that it eats the balloon and starts floating away, and then it explodes in the sky.
Does OJ get eaten?
No.
I wasn't sure. Like I said, I like watched this at work, and like I like got like it got towards the end, and I was like, I don't know what happened to OJ.
Yeah, because the final shot is like he's at the entrance gate of Jupiter's Claim, like on the horse as the dust kind of clears. Like super Western shit. It rocks.
Yeah. So
for some reason in my mind, the movie ended with her celebrating getting the picture.
So she like but it's like drawn out in a way too that like we don't actually know yet that she's gotten the picture really. So she's like she takes like so many pictures, right? The Jean Jacket sucks up the balloon, explodes, ribbons into pieces down to the earth, and it shows kind of like Angel like up on the hill, like woohoo, like so, like obviously extremely fucked up, but he's excited. M is like fucked up, exhausted. She kind of like collapses by the well and is basically like, oh my god, like finally this is over. A bunch of like news crews and shit like pull up or whatever, and there's like this whole scene of M like standing up and just like you can't really tell what her expression, like she's just feeling so many things, and then it pans over to the end, like the back entrance of Jupiter's Claim, and it says something like out in the yonder or something like that, and it's him sitting on top of Lucky, just like sitting there like so triumphant, and then it pans over to the photo that has now developed, and it is just the most beautiful photo of Jean Jacket you've ever seen in your life.
I wish it ended and it was just like this blurry ass like Bigfoot picture.
They didn't get it.
Yeah.
Just like a typical fucking like UFO picture where you can't really, all you see is just like a light in the background.
I mean, Jean Jacket is so far up in the air. There's like absolutely no way she would actually capture it that way. But you know what? Good for them. I love that for them. I think it's great. They got their proof. I'm hoping that their farm is well, it's not a farm,
No,
but
that
you know,
house is fucked.
everything
They're
worked
fucked
out for
after
them.
this.
Well, but they'll have the money. They're gonna sell it to Oprah. They're gonna get the money to like buy themselves a new ranch.
I
It's
forgot
fine.
it was Oprah they're trying to sell it to, or is that's their
They
idea?
just- Well, I think that was like OJ's like idea, and M's kind of like think bigger than Oprah. Like, come on. But yeah, so that's the movie.
Oh, so good. I need you to watch Us by next record. Now
I really meant
dying
to, but for some reason I like rewatched Paranormal Activity, and I don't know why. You know what?
Why would you do that to yourself?
I was just like having a situation where I would like try and watch something, and I just like couldn't focus on it, and so I was like, I just need to put something on that, like, if I'm not paying attention, it's fine. You know what I mean? I just have been having an attention span issue, so that I need to like sit down and like give my full attention. So I just wasn't prepared.
I don't know, fuck it. What else did you watch?
Paranormal Activity. That might be it. I watched Nope. Like, I'm obviously still watching King of the Hill, and then we're still watching X-Files. I gotta say, I don't know how far you made it, Kit, but we are balls deep in season 7, and season 7 is not good. Not very good
Is
at
that
all.
around the time David Duchovny leaves?
No, no.
I know.
I
don't
think it's
know.
the season after, so when he leaves.
Oh shit. Ugh. It's just like it's just like very obviously like, first of all, the video quality changes, so it's not that like quaint like 90s look, like made for TV look that I love. It switches because like now we're into the 2000s or whatever.
The HD times.
Yeah, and it's like, so that's not charming anymore. And then it's like how I was kind of talking about how there was like an overarching, like the overarching story was like really, really, really big, and then they would just have like small offshoot episodes. It's like the opposite in season 7, where like there's a whole span of like 10, I want to say like 10 or 15. We're on like episode 23, which you don't need it to be that long, if I'm honest with you. But like there's like 10 or 15 episodes that are just like not connected at all, and like really goofy stuff. Like one of them is an episode where Kathy Griffith is like
You lost me already.
a twin separated at birth, and whenever they get close to each other, they have like telekinetic powers or something. It's just like off the walls, and there's like no alien stuff, none of the overarching like story at all. And then all of a sudden, the season finale, they like bring it back, and I was like, huh, what are you doing? So we just started season 8, and I'm like, jeez, I don't even know. We're gonna power through it because that's what we do, but like it's rough.
I mean, I feel like if you've made it
just
that
to
far
everybody.
either way, it might as well just fucking finish it.
Well, that's what
Right.
we're doing, right? And like I said, we very honestly obviously watched way worse, but I'm gonna say, like, if anybody's not wanting to suffer, I do feel like the first 5 seasons are very worth watching. The 6th season had some like, okay, 7th season, like, just stop. Do not watch
The
the 7th
random
season.
stuff I saw of like the sort of comeback seasons, I think they did like 2 in like, 2017 or some shit, whatever. Like,
Yeah.
I thought those were like, the stuff I saw from it was like pretty well done.
I only watched like the very first episode of whatever the first reboot was, so like obviously we'll get there, but
There's
like
an episode I very specifically, it's like been stuck in my memory ever since. It's like probably one of the only ones of that I saw, like, I remember seeing like all of, was like this episode where like technology just starts to like revolt on them, and it's this whole like thing about like it's Scully and Mulder in like their own separate houses or whatever, and it's like the whole like smart house thing, and like what happens if like technology just like becomes sentient and takes over, but like everything in your house is like a computer now, essentially. I don't know, it's like really interesting. And the entire thing, from what I remember, like is kicked off because like they don't tip well at like a fucking all robot fucking sushi restaurant.
Okay, see, that's what I'm talking about. That's the kind of shenanigans that I'm talking about. Like, all of the episodes that are like offshoots of like the main story now are just like crazy. Like the last one we watched, somebody found like a genie, and she was like granting wishes, and one of them was like, actually Will Sasso was in the episode, which was pretty funny. But the guy was like, I wish to be invisible, and then they like get his body, like he ends up like getting hit by a sorry spoilers, whatever. He gets hit by a car and dies because like
something.
Well, I know Kit was like sort of watching it, and it's like not whatever.
It's gonna be so long before I get to season
right.
7. I'm gonna have completely.
No, you're gonna see Will Sasso, and you're gonna be like, damn it, Katie. So he wishes to be invisible. He gets hit by a car because like the car can't see him. He's invisible. They end up finding his body somehow. And Scully like is like, oh my god, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen, and just like the way that they like have her character act is just like not characteristic. It's just like fuck it, it's just so weird. It like there was a major tone shift, like after season 6, and like you can really tell. But anyways, enough about X-Files. And then I also read 4 books. One will be my shout out. So.
All right, Kit, what'd you watch?
I watched Late Night with the Devil. It was finally on Shudder, and it was pretty good. And that makes the fucking stupid AI bullshit even worse. It's like, why? Why would you do this? Like, you got a pretty fun little movie, and it's for like 2 seconds of footage that someone could have easily.
It's so maddening, like the shit that like is being they're using AI for that like could clearly have been like. Just
pay someone to do this.
$300 to make like your fucking poster or whatever. Like the Civil War stuff, especially. I was like, come on, man.
Yeah. Like, what are you doing? I watched Zone of Interest, which was incredible, and it feels really fucked up to watch that. Like
now.
In your house, where you can just be distracted on your phone throughout. You know, it's like, oh, all of this is horrific. I should not be looking on Instagram right now. Then I watched the Blackberry movie.
Oh, how is that?
Was surprisingly very good.
I've been like meaning to watch that like since it came out because I really like the dude that directed its movie, The Dirties. And like
I hadn't seen any of his other stuff.
Oh, The Dirties is like really fucking good because it's like sort of shot like a documentary, but it's all about these 2 kids that like are like plan a school shooting, except one of them thinks it's a joke and one of them is taking it very seriously, and ends with like you know all of this like the actual like shooting happening, and it's like but like it's this weird tonal shift where it's like sort of jokey and fun and like going into it until like the 3rd act. And it's really fucking good. And then like I saw that who did like Blackberry and that like what's his name from Always Sunny is in it. And I was like, okay, I gotta see this.
Say he's incredible in it. Jay Baruchel is really good in it too. It's like, I mean, it's your standard like
biopic sort of thing.
Biopic kind of thing. So you know what's gonna happen, but it's all really well done. Definitely worth watching. And then I watched Challengers, and Challengers fucking ripped.
What did you watch that on?
Oh, I just
I
went to
think
the
it's
theater.
only theaters.
Oh, okay.
The score
I was like,
is fucking great.
Oh man, it's so good in the context of the movie too, because it's so fucking over the top.
The fucking movies that Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross are like scoring are so fucking
wild
weird and baffling to me. It's like it's the same way like Nick Cave like doing fucking Blonde and fucking Dahmer, and I'm like, what's happening?
Yeah.
So Challengers is good.
Oh yeah, it's super rad. That first trailer I was like, whatever, and then I went and saw it and was like, oh yeah, no, this is my favorite thing from this year that isn't Dune.
Literally the only thing I know about it, because I don't think I watched the trailer, but I've seen like random shit on like Instagram, is the fucking threesome or whatever. That's like the only thing anyone was talking about. All I watched David Lynch's Dune 3 times, and I've watched Army of Darkness like 5 times. Like that.
What else do you need?
That fucking like. I know people kind of like shit on Scream Factory releases a lot because that's like a lot of the times they're pretty bare bones. The fucking Army of Darkness release they did that has like 4 discs,
like 3 discs.
It's fucking insane.
It's got every fucking cut of the movie.
There's like, that's got director's cut, theatrical cut, international cut, the TV edit, which fucking rocks, because it's like the just dumb fucking, like, you know, cutting out shit and saying, like, the...
Yeah, it's like an unwatchable version of the movie.
It's so good.
But just in case you want it.
Oh, yeah, so that's pretty much all I've watched, and then we dived back into catching up on The Traitors, and Australia Traitors Season 2. Starts out real fucking dumb. Has the fucking most insane ending of a fucking reality show I think I've ever seen. And I think that's pretty much it. I've mostly just been, like, listening to podcasts that will help me clear my mind of the existential dread of live watching a fucking genocide the last, like, however many months. I'm like, well, better dive into some comedy podcasts that just make me not want to die all the time. Alright, Katie, what's your book shout out?
So the book that I was recommended during the what was that movie called? I want to say Reconciliation, but that's not it.
The Reconciler?
No. Yes. What was that movie we just did?
I don't know what you mean by just did. Nope. Frozen.
Annihilation.
Oh. That was like 2 months ago.
I finished. Okay, well, fair. I shouted out. It was called A Lonely Broadcast. That had like similar feels, but like more horror. And I finished that, and I loved it. It's unfortunately found out that it says very small underneath it, book 1. So eventually, maybe this person will write more, but it's really good. Especially, it was like their first book, also, which for a debut, I think is really good. Then I read this book called Monstrilio by, oh my gosh, Gerardo Salamano Cordova. It's so good. It's essentially like, I don't want to like give away the plot, but people should read it if they like gay books. If they like, it's like a horror, kind of folk tale-ish, but also again, I feel like you can't really get away from this, but it also is very much dealing with grief and like how parents deal with like the loss of a child, but like it turns super crazy, and it is definitely a horror book. So really, really interesting like take on it, and it's really good. So I recommend. It's not that long.
All right, Kate, what do you want to shout out?
Dayquil.
Hell yeah.
I'm fucking dying, but Dayquil is doing me all right.
I love Dayquil.
Same.
You know what I actually like legit love is, I think I've shouted it out before. No, Vicks Vapor Rub. Vicks.
That sounds like a good idea.
Vapor Rub. Also, they make cough drops that are Vicks Vapor Rub, and they will blast you into space. They're amazing. Highly recommend.
My shout out is I got my copy of Erica's book, The Sweetest Taboo, something long title about child kills in film. And so I've been reading through that, and it's fucking great. I'm really stoked on it. And I think, at least as of this recording, she's down to like only 300 copies left of the 1,000. So like, I don't know, go find the link, her Instagram at Hex Massacre. I think there's just like a thesweetesttaboo.bigcartel.com or some shit. And I know she sent copies to like, I think Vinegar Syndrome, Diabolic DVD, and Orbit DVD have copies, and maybe somewhere else. So you can find it, but if you're interested, grab a copy. It rocks. Freddy Got Fingered's in it. What else could you ask for?
You'll have to let me know if Twilight's in it.
Yeah, I haven't made it that far, but maybe is there a child killed?
It's yeah, remember that scene where Dakota Fanning's character like throws a baby into a fire?
Kind of.
It's just like a flashback, but no, I'm just kidding. I wouldn't.
Well, I don't know. Like it might be in there. There was like specific like she had like specific rules of like what could make it into the book, and I think you have to like actually see it happen. And so
You do see
I
it,
don't
but-
remember that scene in Twilight, so but I will let you know if it's in there. Like Freddy got fingered is in there as like a sort of honorable mention because of the kid that walks into the airplane thing at the end that you hear towards the like afterwards. It's like
Yeah.
I'm fine or whatever. All right, next week, episode 300. We're doing Ice
Wow.
Cream Man.
We did it.
Fucking Clint Howard eating ice cream. Literally, we're just gonna talk
Yum.
about Clint Howard eating ice cream for an hour and a half.
I will talk about ice cream for 2
Ice
hours.
cream's the best.
You know what my shout out should have been was the Dr. Pepper milkshake from Whataburger because I had
Hell
it.
yeah.
It was actually
Sounds
really
fucking
good.
amazing.
So I think that first of all, you guys know I don't really like Dr. Pepper that much, and I think that in my mind, like the only thing I've ever had cola flavor like that was like a slushie. So in my mind, I'm like, how do they make that work? That's gross, like slushy milkshake, right? But it's literally just like Dr. Pepper mixed with vanilla ice cream. So it like
Basically.
tamed the strong flavor of Dr. Pepper that I don't really like enough that I mean it was like a float essentially, right? But like not like the liquid was not separated. It was like actually a milkshake consistency. It was really good. It was actually really good. I recommend it.
All right, there you go. Extra shout out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ice Cream Man next week.
Sometimes you get no shout out from me, sometimes you get 2.
Sometimes we get negative shout outs. I
That's
forget
right.
what Ice Cream Man is on. I'm going to say Tubi.
I assume Tubi.
I have
Yeah,
the
same.
Vinegar Syndrome Blu-ray. Yeah, it's on Tubi and Plex and Pluto and Roku and Vudu for free and shit, so it's a bunch of places. Excited to watch an 84-minute movie after like 9 episodes of almost all 2-hour fucking movies.
Oh my god, I know. I was like, we need to stop now. I can't keep doing this.
Alright, yeah, that'll be next week. If you'd like to support us, you could join our Patreon at patreon.com/IPSufferPodcast. Our best of episode is out. Hear us talk about good things we liked from 2023. None of it being real world shit, because nothing in the real world is good ever anymore. You can leave us a rating and review on iTunes and Spotify. You can follow us on Instagram at IPSufferPodcast. You can follow Kit at Hidden Kitstery and Kitrification of Blood. You can follow Katie at WerewolfFace and join Katie's Patreon at patreon.com/WerewolfFace. You can listen to my other podcast, Nate Gay Movie Club. Yeah, Ice Cream Man next week. And, yeah, I did not think of a way to end this episode, so I hope hope you're a jean jacket.
I hope you know.
I hope you have a fucking
love
cool
jean jacket.
voice. Like, old...
Michael
I was gonna
Wincott.
say Antlers, but I was like, maybe I should say his real name. Yeah, I hope you're something, but why? I don't know. The end.
Not
Was
interested,
not
mate.
expecting this to be like an almost 2.5 hour episode.
I wasn't either because I didn't take 2 hours of notes, but here we are.
Alright, goodbye.